and then I'll start talking. Hey guys! Surprise! Today is the day I have designated for another stream, which I meant to do some nights ago, but to be honest, I got a little shy. I was not very confident about my ability to run a show at that moment in time. So I said, let me just give it some time, recover, and then I'll just be back because, as you can imagine, I live in the South somewhere, and we had snowpocalypse 2022, and it got pretty rough at work. Like in 3 days, we experienced the storm for the business that we're supposed to experience for like Thanksgiving and stuff. But honest to God, Thanksgiving was not as stressful as this whole snowstorm, wintry shit preparation that people did that we had going on. So I said to myself, I just want to be alone. I want to be quiet. I don't want to think. I don't want to experience anything that is associated with being a functional human, especially interactions after all the ones that I had to process throughout the day. So I said, we'll save this for another time. So tonight, what I had in mind was to sort of skim through my so called clipboard that I have of topics that are pending for me to go over here on the channel. And I don't like doing this because I like for there to be a separate video for every single topic so that, say, in the future, if someone brings up a topic that we have already discussed, I can be like, I made a video about that, you can reference it, but I'm behind on video tags. I still have to tag videos from 2018. I think I said tags. I have to tag videos from 2018. I fell behind because I got lazy. I just hit upload, and after that, I was done. And now I regret that so much because some of the videos I don't remember what were some of the details that I went over, and I feel like I wouldn't be able to tag them properly except use generic ones. So I just thought that I would create a miscellaneous stream and dump as many topics in here as possible and sort of breeze through them unless we get deep on one of them. I can't tell which one, but if something needs a little more exploration, I guess I can always bring it back and maybe repeat myself, just like that one video I made to just reiterate the point of how repeating yourself can be annoying, but it's not inherently bad. It's just annoying. So, anyways, without any further rambling, I thought I would get started. So, the very, very, very first topic that I have at the very top is why so many documents remain inaccessible during the information age. And honestly, what inspired that topic was that I remember back in 2013 ish, I was having a conversation with someone, and remember vividly telling them something like, you would think that with the internet, there should be no question unanswered. There should be access to information from any moment in time, like history as we know it, like history meaning the time when written records begin. All of that should be accessible, but of course it isn't because every day we're building up on the internet, and every day something new happens that needs to be told, needs to be posted, needs to be shared. But for some reason, stuff about the past, some things may not be as accessible as you think or you may want. So I just had that question. If we are living in the information age, in the digital age, then why is it that back then it's 2013 and we still are struggling to get our hands on certain content? But then when I thought about it a little more deeply, I thought about the fact that there's some info that we are not meant to see because you have a paywall kind of get in the way. Like, you ever visit them websites like those journalists' websites that you want to read an article, like say the LA Times or something, and then you get like a little snippet of it, and then it asks you to purchase a membership or something. Maybe it's like $1 or something. I don't know. Or maybe you can buy access to that article. And I'm thinking that stuff is going to add up at some point. And most of us just cannot imagine a life in which we are doing that. So it makes me wonder now in 2022, what if this whole time, what made me feel like information was limited back then was actually not justified, only because now I can think about the fact that some info is going to be barred because it's turned into a business. You guys let me know what you think on that one, because I'm really not sure how to tackle that topic. I'm not sure what else to think, and I honestly have not tried searching for that answer. I tried to come up with my own ideas of what could be happening, what could make that be the case, unless I'm completely imagining it. But just know that I once had that thought, and of course, I was like younger back then and definitely not as experienced with the way access to things work these days in the digital age. So some things now I can excuse as, you know what, this is a business. You just have to understand that someone needs to get paid for producing this information in a consumable way. You have to go out there, look for the information, organize it, edit it, present it. All of that stuff takes time. So I get it. But I don't think that financial reasons are all there is to certain documents not being accessible in the information age. So you guys let me know. Or let me know if there is something that you think is historical that is missing, that you feel we all should be entitled to accessing. You guys let me know. Let me know anything. And you guys, a few moments ago, I committed the sin of going to McDonald's because I must admit that today just kind of flew by me. And for most of the day, I was just eating on my snowpocalypse snacks that I had here at home. And I really didn't feel like putting together a real complicated meal. And on top of that, I really didn't have the ingredients. It's not like I have vegetables or anything, because I had planned for the worst, like say the power going out, and then I have all of this perishable stuff in my fridge. What a waste. Oh man. No, I skipped that. So I realized after I wrecked myself at the gym that I was super hungry, and I'm normally not that hungry, and it's because I hadn't really eaten anything real or heavy all day. And then, the idea came up to go to McDonald's, pick something up. So did that. And when I went up to the window, there was this guy who was thanking us for not smoking on his face. And that just left me speechless, because in my entire time going through drive-thrus, I never noticed anyone smoking. Um, and it never occurred to me that that's something that people at the drive-through could deal with. And then the guy was also expressing that that is something that happens quite often. And you guys, I'm not sure I have ever shared this in the channel, but I definitely know that I have said that I don't smoke. I haven't done anything, like I haven't done any drugs of any sort, like except for over the counter shit, that doctors give you. But like as far as like legit drugs, what we associate with harmful drugs, I've done none of that. I've never been drunk. I've never done anything crazy like that. So to me, when I hear something like that, it triggers me particularly, because I remember a time when I was applying for jobs like that, but it never occurred to me that that could be an issue that I could encounter. And the reason that is significant is because I legitimately get upset when I smell cigarette smoke. It upsets me so much, physically, mentally, Emotionally, it's like a button that you push, and I get absolutely irritated. If you're ever around in an area where there's a smoker and I'm around, I promise you, I will disappear to avoid that smell. I don't know what it is, but it just upsets me. And I discovered that about myself some years ago. I cannot remember exactly when, but I just remember being out at the entrance of a Walmart, and one day I just could not take it anymore. And it also doesn't help that it legitimately like gives me issues. Like I have asthma, so that is definitely not an asthmatic person's friend. But I just remember that from that day until the present day, if I inhale any of that shit, I just get so irritated. So to know that I had the potential of landing a job that exposed me to that, it's something that I never considered. So now it's like I'm grateful that stuff turned out for me the way that it did, because I have no earthly idea how I would have gone about that. But I feel like I would try to have a way of avoiding that from happening, but I doubt it. I don't want to be that person in a team who is picky about the job that I do and the job that I don't do. Like if I'm part of this team and I'm trained, I gotta be reliable and equipped to perform any function, anytime, any circumstance. Because nothing sucks more than working with someone who, like, they have the training, they're prepared, they can do it, they're capable, but they actively refuse to do it for some bullshit reason. Whether the reason is justified or not, I don't care. If you can do it, you just do it, shut up, period. So, I am grateful that I didn't have to be put in a situation where deep down I'm uncomfortable performing a task because of that factor. But also, I'm glad that I don't have to potentially become a diva maybe a year into the job or something and be like, you know what, deep down I hate this, stop doing this to me. But it's a factor that you cannot control. But it's crazy how inside the building you're not allowed to smoke, but someone from the outside can be smoking and you cannot do anything about that. So this guy tonight saying that, it just completely opened up a new universe of thoughts for me, because it just shocked me because I'd never noticed a smoker before. It's like suddenly people in cars just cease to exist as smokers to me, even though occasionally I'm driving behind someone who is smoking and I see that fucking cloud like ahead of me. So I immediately roll up my windows, whatever. But yeah, you guys just know that little fact about me: smoke just irritates me the most. Like that scent, don't have me anywhere near it. I have left places, social events, restaurants because of that shit. So I'm telling you, I'm serious. If I'm near or around that stuff, I am leaving. No excuses. If I have to walk home, I'll do it. But I'm leaving. So I thought I would share that with you guys. Let's see. Someone a while back, like maybe a year and a half ago, left in the comments something political. I don't remember which user left this question for me, but someone said that they would like to see me go over the following, and that is Trump's claim that immigrants or migrants are infesting the US. When I look at the word infest, I gotta share with you guys something that I tweeted last night or the night before. I posted something like, I really hate it when shows or articles or whatever make posts about, say, a swamp, and they say that it's infested with alligators, infested with snakes. That just makes me so mad, because I'm thinking, what do you mean they are an infestation? They fucking lived there. That's like saying planet Earth is infested with humans. Do we say that shit? No. So stop saying that the ocean or a section of a beach or whatever is infested with sharks. It's not an infestation. They fucking live there. You are the one who does not have gills or whatever, physique you need to have to be a permanent inhabitant of the ocean or waters, whatever. You don't have those physical characteristics. If there's anyone who's invading their territory, it's yo ass. It's not the fucking sharks, doing shark things in their habitat. So stop saying that. So, by that same logic, when we had Trump as president, somehow, him saying that other people are like infesting the US because, I don't know, they're not citizens or whatever, I think that is an incredibly dumb and stupid and ignorant and irritating thing to say, because you cannot look at other people who are like moving around as an infestation just because they do not, I guess, share your values or speak the same language or whatever. You cannot look at them as like second class citizens or whatever the hell it means to not be a citizen of this country. Like, I don't know what that is because I was born here. So when I hear that type of thing, I can't help but think, what if I were the one who is going into another country and that's the treatment that I'm getting? I'm still a human being just like you. I have eyes, I have hair, I have a body, I have teeth, I have a stomach, I have all that stuff. And then you are saying that I'm infesting your area, or the likes of me, like people who are not born in your city or country or state or wherever you are, and you're referring to these people as an infestation. I think that is incredibly ignorant because people have their reasons for moving. Let it be opportunities for a better life in the form of a different job, or maybe your original country is like struggling with conflict, wars and stuff. Some people legitimately have their homes blown off. So you just cannot be saying that about people. How about if you don't say that at all about anything that's living? The only time it's okay to describe something as an infestation is if your home is like ridden with bugs that clearly don't belong there. Now, those are pests. Like, sure, those can be considered an infestation. But like humans, I guess the only time I could see them as an infestation is if they are invading another habitat and destroying it, just like certain bugs tend to do that to you. If they start destroying your habitat, that becomes an infestation. But for you to say that other people like coming here are just an infestation, I think that's ignorant, especially if they bring skills, talents, and most of the people who immigrate here, from what I understand and my experience chatting with folks who are not from here, they come here looking for jobs. So I feel like they get more done than natural born citizens. So that's one of the things that I abhorred about our last presidency. And it was because comments like that were being made. And I thought only somebody who actually does not hang out in that social circle of the people he is criticizing would say something like that. So you guys let me know if you agree or disagree with that. I'm only saying it from what I remember hearing or reading about immediately that was on my face, and the few Trump videos that I was able to survive watching, because I want to be a relatively informed citizen, but it was just not a good time to be listening to that clown saying the stuff that he was saying, and especially in the way that he was addressing some people. It was just incredibly disrespectful. And after something like that, I just want to avoid that individual at all costs. But I know that that's a relatively responsible thing to do because of the position that this person was holding. He's the goddamn president. So I had to care at the time. But yeah, you guys, for that user who once submitted that what is it, comment or question, I'm not sure if you're ever going to see this, but consider your question answered. And if for whatever reason, as I go back through old comments trying to catch up. I see you. I will attempt to remember that this stream is where I went over that and hopefully tag you on it. But that was a very good question. I was just not prepared to discuss that at the time because I wanted to be as objective as possible when providing my answer. And I felt like I was not well informed to have an opinion. Another topic that I had on my clipboard was, does it bother me that women are considered naturally physically weaker? And the reason I said that was because one time I was having a conversation with some woman, and suddenly she made a comment. I forget the verbatim, but she said something along the lines of, I just hate that I'm looked at someone who's weak because my body frame is like small, and they just assume that I cannot lift a box of, I don't know, potatoes or something. And I thought, look, whatever people say, don't let that affect you. But at the same time, just because you're capable of doing what they are believing you can't do, it doesn't mean that you have to dedicate to prove them wrong. Like, if that is your job, if that is your task to lift something and you're capable, just do it. Do it like everybody's watching, do it like nobody's watching, but get it done if you can. And if you cannot, that's when you ask for help. I know that is annoying. I know that it's just irritating that someone judges you from the surface. Just like they say, judging a book by its cover. Well, you're female, you're small framed, you must be weak. Like, trust me, I get it. I get told dumb shit that's not quite exactly that, but similarly treated on other stuff that doesn't have any relevance with me. And it sucks. It's annoying because that person is being fucking ignorant, whatever. But me personally, when in general people are considered, or sorry, women are looked at and considered naturally physically weaker compared to men, look, I have met guys who I am stronger than them. Usually there is a factor that makes that the case. Let it be this person is older, let it be this person is like younger, shorter, whatever, little things like that. I feel like there has to be a factor in place for me to have like an edge over this person who is a guy. But you have to accept that as women, we are just designed differently. Our bones are like more hollow, and our frame is smaller, our muscles tend to be smaller, whatever. I'm not saying that there are women out there who can achieve amazing things physically because they dedicate to that, they train for that. They may even what is it? Alter their bodies to be able to accommodate for that stuff. Whatever it is, it still doesn't bother me if that's the premise, only because it's true. Like, I cannot say that I can compete against the guys who I work with doing the heavy lifting and all that because I know I'm going to underperform. I consistently underperform. So why would I be upset that as a female we are looked at as naturally physically weaker? You just have to accept that that's true and don't argue with that, but don't let it define you either. I know my shortcomings, I know my weaknesses. What I do is I am aware that those things are happening, and what I do is I just humble myself, and when I need help, I explain what's making me ask for help. And the majority of the guys who work with me already know me because they've held on to their jobs for some time, and they have an idea of what I can handle and what I cannot handle. So, one of the things that I have made abundantly clear is that I cannot lift boxes over my shoulders comfortably. It depends how heavy it is, but I don't feel comfortable handling anything over 15 pounds because I genuinely lack that upper body strength. So usually what I do when I need help lifting something that's like 25 plus pounds, I go to my, physically capable counterpart and I go, "Hello, brother. I need your upper body strength." What does he do? He stops with what he's doing and assists me for the 3 seconds that it takes. And then I continue with my life. As opposed to making comments that like bring them down, like I have seen other people do, which is, nah. I'm a very proud female, like, what is it? Feminism, girl power, and all that. And they are jobs that you actively decline. Where's your fucking pride? You know, that makes you a hypocrite or that makes you a really like fake model. So I'm here saying that I don't do that. I like to admit and make it clear that I have limitations. And there's another time when I make it abundantly clear that I'm going to not perform very well. And that is when that day of the month hits. Because trust me, the days of me working around that and even when I'm in pain, trying to toughen it out in the name of getting the job done, are over. Because I learned that if I'm part of a team, I'm not by myself. And usually, when I'm at my fittest, like not going through that monthly bullshit, I get it done. So, me flaking out 2, 3 days out of the week because I have an actual like thing hindering me from getting something done, I think it should be celebrated that I'm taking care of myself, my physical well being. Because let's say if I perform a maneuver poorly and I get hurt, then I gotta be gone from the job. I gotta be out. That's going to affect the team much worse than me bothering a colleague for like 3 seconds to help set the stage for me to get a task done. So not only is it efficient for the team, but it's also cheap because getting yourself like dealt with when you have an injury is not cheap. So just swallow your pride, let it go, like do what you can and don't feel embarrassed about your limitations. Everybody out there has a weakness somewhere. For me, as a female, I just accepted that there's some shit that I won't be able to do, as well as my male counterparts. And what I like to do is celebrate what they can do in the same manner that they celebrate what I can do, especially in the brain department. Because where I work at, sure, I'm pretty fast at some of the things that I do, but I feel more valued for the stuff that I contribute to the team that's more brainy related. So, how about if you do that? Focus on that as opposed to trying to like prove something like some weird equality stuff. I don't get it. Like this quest for equality and shit, I sincerely do not understand it. So if any of you guys out there have a different take on any of that, please let me know because I honestly just don't. I'm confused, I am appalled, and I just know that I don't want to be associated with that and I have nothing to do with that. So stop looking at yourself as inferior. You have a role, you have things that you're good at. Focus on that, okay? As opposed to trying to take over sectors that do not belong to you, you know? So, anyway, I'm gonna catch up with some comments. Hello, real OP. Don't be sorry that you're late. At least you made it. Just an idea for when you're at the gym. Try military presses with 10 pounds and 12 reps, 3 sets of 12 reps, 2 or 3 times a week, then work up to 15 pounds. It's good to know your limitations, though. I feel like the only reason I'm not better is because I'll be honest, like I'm proud of the things that I can do at the gym. But once I hit a limit on any aspect of my routine, I'm not very good at incorporating new exercises to help me activate certain things because I am so afraid of injury. If something happens to me, I have no way of getting that fixed or checked out. And I cannot afford to be living a life in pain that is also going to mess up how I what is it? Live my life both at work and in my personal life. So like that's one of the things that I feel bad about. I wish I had a spotter. I wish I had like a gym buddy, but someone who knows what they're doing because I know what it's like to get legitimately injured. And that shit sucks, and it only happens to me once in my life. I don't mind the pain of getting stronger, like that soreness, and oh my god, I'm using a muscle, I'm activating something I've never used before. Like, that's fine, that's great, I love it. But legit injury that can possibly, like, say, mess up my joint or mess up something like my knees or something, I don't play with that. And my back, especially. I have come so close to injuring my fucking back. And I'm like, that happens to me once. If I was able to escape this without hurting myself, this is an opportunity that I was given. I'm keeping it. I'm taking it. I'm not playing with my safety. So yeah, you guys, I feel like embarrassed that I've been working out for like 6 years and there's some shit that I'm still like at level 2 at. I feel like by now I should be comfortable with at least 25 pounds. But no, I'm still like at 10 on some things, 15 in others, and at least I'm grateful for my calves. I have seen that they have grown some, whereas, for like years they stayed the same. But like outside of that, I'm not messing with my safety. So I'll look up what those are because I really don't know the names of exercises by name. Like, I don't know what they are by name, so I'll have to look that up. But I'm always willing to like hear some tips and try them out. But if it doesn't feel right on my body, like say based on my form and shit, I'm not doing it. So yeah, that's kind of what's happening with me and why I don't get better in the strength department. But also, I gotta admit that when I ask for help with something, I try to ask when it's a good time. And if I am occupying someone with something that is supposed to be my responsibility, when they leave their station, I man that station or woman that station until he comes back. And then I'm like, yeah, this is where I stopped at. You can continue. Like at least I try to be productive. I'm not going to get in your way. So, fortunately, where I work at, since it's retail, like we all have the same kind of training. So, if you are, say, running a return, running a register, running something like that, I'm qualified to do that. So if I'm forcing you out of your station, I can take over that until you come back so that I can finish what I needed your assistance with. I take the initiative and I also have some fucking common sense. But there's some people who not only are they too weak to perform the job and they have to interrupt you, but they stay stuck like looking at you as opposed to like I don't know, clean, sweep, dust, anything justify your presence on the clock. That's what I'm saying. But some people, not only do you complain about how much you're getting paid and having to be there, but when you're there you're not making it count because you're not productive. What? So that's the part of me that makes me say that I'm kind of prideful and I may have a little bit of an attitude problem, but I promise you that I try to be a good colleague. Like, if you ever feel like I'm a nightmare to work with, it's probably because I shake things up for you and I force you to see that you're not productive and you're doing more harm than good. And because I have held on to my job for so long, I feel like I have developed certain abilities that make me have an edge over a lot of people. I have experience, speed, accuracy, knowledge. I have advantages. So if I'm held up to a different standard, I wouldn't mind, but as long as it's fair, because I feel like there are circumstances when it isn't fair. But my favorite thing about asking for help is that I enjoy collaboration. Also, I get to observe what technique someone uses to get something done that I struggle with, and we bond. Because I don't know about you guys, but you guys know that I'm a deep thinker and I like to think that I'm emotionally intelligent. But when I ask for help, I'm making myself vulnerable. I'm submitting myself. I'm saying, hey, on my own, I cannot do this. I need you. So, for someone experienced and skilled and all that, such as myself, to do that, if you don't look at that as a sign of fucking respect and me humbling myself, I don't know what else you need. So, if you think that I'm a nightmare to work with, you got some serious reconsiderations to do, reevaluations to do. I am fucking confident about saying that everywhere I go. So, so yeah, you guys, that's kind of where that comes from. If you are curious, that's the kind of colleague that you can expect me to be. I'm always moving. I'm always looking for the next thing to do because there is so much to do. But I hear people complaining that they're bored. If you're bored, it's because you're a bad worker. You're like not aware of your surroundings. You're absent. And there's nothing worse than dealing with people who are like absent. You ever deal with people like that? Like they're there, but it's like their body is, but they have no soul. They have no life. Like, I, I think that's where my social anxiety comes from. Because, like, I feel like I'm on a different what is it, on a different league than they are. I'm not saying that I look at myself as better because this person, if you put them in their habitat, let's say that they're a musician, but they're here working in retail. Those are two different worlds. In their territory, they're going to beat my ass. That's great. But I'm not sitting there criticizing or insulting their capabilities in their habitat. But when you're in my habitat, it's like, heck yeah, we're supposed to be in this together. You have been here for years. So if you haven't figured out how to make this place survivable, you're doing something wrong. So I encourage you to introspect because every single day that I finish a shift, I look back and I think, what could have been done better? Where did I struggle? What can I improve and stuff like that. But if you don't do that, that is a you problem. That is you not having interest in furthering yourself, in growing. But if you look at that as an opportunity to like grow and things, you will have a good time. That is everywhere that you go. Let it be at your job, let it be hanging out with friends and family. That is just applicable everywhere. But if you're not looking at it like that, then you got other issues. You know, that's the best way I can phrase it. It's an issue at that point. So, anyway, hopefully that made sense to you guys. It's good to understand your place. I am Dan. Hello, Dan. True, best to have a spotter or understand your limitations or use a machine. Knees on the floor, push ups. You know, I have tried those and my issue is that sometimes I feel them and sometimes I don't. Like, I'm not sure if it's because of how, like, far apart or close together I have my arms, but at some point it feels awkward. Sometimes it feels awkward on my damn shoulders or my, like, elbows. And I'm thinking, how is it that a chest exercise is making me feel this way? And maybe it also had to do with maybe the kind of mat that I was using. Maybe it wasn't like gripping onto the floor very well, but I must absolutely use the mat because since I'm such a bony person, if I don't have like cushioning between myself and something that's like super 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 hard like the floor, then I'm done. Like I am brittle. Like I can break easy. What did I miss? So basically to recap, the first like 12 minutes or so, I think that's when you arrived. I was saying that this is going to be a miscellaneous stream, and I am going over my so-called vlogging clipboard that I always tell you guys that I have, like my pending topics, and I was going to scroll through it and pick the ones that aren't super super deep so that I can breeze through them. And then I went over maybe three of them before you arrived. And I think when you arrived, I was talking about a user who left a comment some time ago talking about when Trump used to say, not in verbatim, but like the way he would talk about stuff like migrants, immigration, and how they are looked at as an infestation in the United States. So I was pretty much expressing my opinion there. Um, and then I don't really remember what the other ones were. But if you wish, just know that the stream is going to be here as long as YouTube and my channel exists. So you could sort of catch up. But if you wonder what the stream is about, it's about literally anything that you guys want, but also some of my pending topics. So anything goes tonight. I really don't have a focus. How has your management been recently? Oh my god, like if you ever saw my video about, I remember what I was wearing. I don't remember the title of it, but I was talking about how I got a new manager for my department, or managers, because one person moved up from their former position, and then we got a completely new manager from another location who got promoted, but he got the promotion at our location. It's been amazing. It's been great. It's been so fantastic that I could fucking cry, and it would be a dream for me to like feature them, or at least one of them, or both of them but separately, and just talk about how they have influenced me and helped me like live such a better life, because I remember how I was feeling this time last year versus how I feel now, and all of the growth that I have experienced, and how happy I actually am when I'm at work, even when I encounter challenges. I had to learn, you guys, the hard way, that I was literally operating on a lot of like PTSD. It may sound ridiculous, but I was treating my new managers expecting the same bullshit from the former management that I had. Like the same attitudes, the same reactions, the same stress, the same like their inability to perform well under pressure. I was anticipating that these new folks were going to be a repetition of that, just with a different name, a different what is it? Experience and all that, but nothing like that. Like my current management is the happiest I have been at my job the entire time I have been there. And if I had to pick something, I think the most important thing for me that has come out of this new management is the fact that I actually feel listened to and valued, and given what is it? Priority. In the past, I felt like some of the things I was bringing up from a concerned perspective were treated as trivial until a major disaster happened, and then upper management would interview me about this shit. And I'm like, this is a conversation that I should not have with you, because this is a conversation that I have attempted to have domestically, as in my department. I call my department my home. So I like to say, if there's an issue that we cannot fix domestically, I'm not interested in dealing with it outside of here, because the folks who are outside of here, they're outsiders. They don't know what's happening. And I don't like to push someone away, because I think everybody has the potential to help somehow. Sometimes it's our own customers who bring solutions. But nothing is more god awful, at least for me, than dealing with a person whose pride is like so consuming them so much that even when you're coming from a place of experience, and like I mentioned moments ago, a place where I'm actually like being humble and submissive and all that, and you're just treated badly, it sucks, because such a negative experience is hard to forget. So now, to know that I don't have to go through that, my new manager had to teach me that under his watch, things are different, and that he would never allow such a thing to happen. So in the past, when this shit was happening, I was thinking the way that my new manager is thinking, which is, the people who run this place would not allow for certain things to happen, but they did. So because of that negative experience, it takes one fucking negative experience to undo 10 good experiences. And I hated that about myself. I hated that I was able to only remember and feel and hold on to the bad stuff happening, as opposed to the occasional good thing that was happening. But this new manager helped me amplify the good stuff, heal from the bad stuff, and tackle the bad stuff as it tries to develop, but we stop it before it develops into something big, which is what I was trying to do with my former management, but they did not fucking let me. And that is why, you guys, if you guys remember in like summer 2020, I made this one video. I forget what I entitled it, but I remember that I think on like the thumbnail, I was like looking down kind of like this. And I was so mad that day. I was so angry. I was like hurting. I was in pain. I was crying. I was miserable. I was depressed. All of those negative things together at the same time. And the worst part of it is that I was by my fucking self. I was alone. But now all of those clowns who were making me feel that way just disappeared. And then when I got the good people, I didn't know how to handle it. I was yearning for that so fucking much that once I had it, I didn't know how to deal with it. And I was having meltdowns with my new good management team. And I felt so bad because I'm thinking, look, I gave my best to the past, and now I'm no longer fit to be in this team. But then these people showed me so much patience, so much like understanding, tolerance, love, respect, everything that I just felt no human being was capable of doing in my vicinity, that it legit made me cry. Every time I was treated nicely, it made me fucking cry. So, like, yes, to answer my question, my new management is very good. And I am pre-making myself sad because I know that the good people, the good things don't last. So I'm sure that this crew, this person especially, like the person who I feel is really running things to where this person set things right, I know that he's gonna leave at some point, and it might be pretty soon because he has the potential, he's prepared, and he's still preparing himself for like furthering himself. I want to be happy with him and for him and celebrate him for that, but at the same time, I am so scared because this is an example of someone who set the bar so fucking high that now any person coming in the future, I'm going to have those expectations, and anything less is going to be unacceptable. So now I'm trying to study this person that we have right now and be like, okay, this is exactly what I need and want for the rest of my life. So thank you for modeling what a good manager looks like and is supposed to look like. Because I cannot believe that I tolerated so much shit recently. And even though it's been like, what, 6, 7 months, I can say that I have healed from most of the things that happened, but there are some things that I catch myself hesitating. And then I am asked by one of the two managers, and I go, you know what? Thanks for like calling me out on that moment of like, what is it, insecurity that I had, because yes, I did have in mind a time when I tried to bring something up and it should have been a rewarding experience, but it wasn't. So that was the hardest part, to adjust to my new crew and like bring myself back to the team. It was super hard, and I had no idea how fucked in the head my past had made me until I had like these new people. So it's been interesting. That's why I try to make videos that are related to the topic and be like, you guys, this is how it used to be versus what I have now. And it's so freaking great and whatnot. But it's just hard sometimes to put that into words because sometimes I question myself, did that really happen? The shit that affected me, did it really happen, or was I overreacting? Was I just sensitive? Was I immature or anything? But everybody, absolutely everybody whom I have shared those stories with, and I know they're objective because I journaled about them pretty much immediately after they happened. Like, say, the same day, I would come back home and make sure that I have a record of it or make a video about it so that I don't, you know, possibly alter the story in the future. None of that. Um, and it was so good to hear that even people who I opened up to, who I wasn't tight with, therefore I don't run the risk of this person not being objective with me. They all said the same thing. They said, no, what is happening is very fucked up. It shouldn't be happening. And I also talked to people from other locations and they shared some details and they said, no, this stuff is wrong and they're not doing it right. They're not going by the policy, this, that, and the other. And that stuff is what kept me sane and confident about myself. Because had it not been for that, I probably would have quit, which I intended to do until I heard that we were getting a new management. So when I saw my new management, I thought, I'm going to give this place one more bloody chance. And I don't care about losing everything. All of my experience, all of my, I guess, perks that I get from holding on to my job for so long. It's not worth it because I'm fucking dying. I'm going crazy. I'm crying myself to sleep. I'm miserable. I'm nervous. My appetite is out of control. I'm either eating or not eating. I'm feeling like shit. I'm getting sick every damn month and all that. So, like, it's crazy. Even the days that are physically demanding and mentally tough, I can come home and be a functional fucking human. And the best thing is that when I start bringing things up, I'm not judged. The best example of that I can give you is someone in my past management. I was once discussing full time. I have my reasons for not going full time, and that is the consequences that that's going to have on my body, on my just mental health. Like, there's only so much work that I can handle before I start getting frustrated and depressed, and there's stuff that I just need to get done with my day that is important to me. And having a business on the side is one of them. So going full time would mean that I would have to sacrifice those things that I have worked so hard on, at least taking off with them, whether I make a lot of money with it or not. I don't care. It just means a lot to me that I have something that I can call mine. Whereas me working for someone else, for a company, it never feels like freedom because they have to make my schedule, they have to make their rules, I have to follow them. And then outside here doing my own thing, I am the sole responsible person. I set my own standards, I set my own schedule. I'm responsible for everything. I am my own manager. So you're asking me to give that up for what? A little bit of extra money, health benefits that aren't even health benefits because I still gotta pay a goddamn deductible and it's still thousands of dollars. So like I just could not see how that would work. So I was having that discussion with a fucking manager, and she said, the way I said it was, I don't feel like this would provide me with stability, which I need. The best way to support me would be let me have this relatively fixed schedule so that I can come home and work on the stuff on the side and continue taking care of myself. I have to eat, I have to exercise. And most people who get a position or end up going full time, it's costing them something. It's costing them either sleep or you're gaining fucking weight because you can't handle the stress, or you're getting sick often, something is happening to you, or physically, you like your joints can't take it because you're on your feet all day, your lower back, everyone is fucked up. Everyone is dealing with something. So I was trying to say, I want to take care of myself. And the cost that that has with me is I don't get benefits and I don't get paid that extra money that having an extra, what, 8, 10, 12 hours gives me. I can bear that cost. I'm not afraid of that. But this person, what she said to me was, well, I have 3 kids. I never know stability. And I was like, you bitch, that is a decision that you made. If you decided to have kids when you were not married by different fathers and all that, that is a you problem. I have not committed that stupidity. I didn't get drunk and I didn't allow for someone to like, what is it, plant a seed in me that resulted in a little human. That's not my responsibility. That is a you problem. How are you in a management position giving lame ass answers like that? I came here like submitting myself, asking, hey, what would it cost me to be full time? Orient me. Help me make this a, what is it, a decision that is healthy and wise for me to make. These are my concerns. Tell me. But you made this was a discussion about me. We were talking about me and you turned it into something about you. Fuck you. This is about me. I don't care about your fucking past mistakes. If you do not get to have stability, you deserve to not have stability because of the poor ass decisions that you made. And that is one of the few examples of stories that I have that made my past management fucking suck ass. Whereas now, in the present, that doesn't happen. It hasn't happened. And I know it won't happen. It's a difference between heaven and hell, you guys. So fuck yeah, I'm happy with the new crew that I have that would never put me through that bullshit. But I wouldn't have known that if I would have quit my job like I was ready to do back in May. But my new manager was arriving toward the end of June. So I said, I'm going to give this fucking clown a chance and see what he brings. If within 2 or 3 weeks I don't see any like improvement, fuck this place. I was ready to go. But then I said to myself, I'm not a quitter. And I also felt like I would be quitting on this new manager. And I felt like, given my status and preparation and everything, I felt like I could help this person transition into their role. And he was prepared. He's amazing. He had so much training. He knew everything. And I have learned so much from him. And we have collaborated on all that. My past management made me feel like I wasn't learning or I wasn't growing. And this one person, within the first 3 shifts that we had together, I felt like I was a student again. And I just felt motivated and I had the desire to show up to my shifts again. And that hadn't happened to me in such a long gas fucking time. So yeah, you guys, if you ever wonder why my behavior kind of changed, and like I said before, I became a more direct person, is because I got my confidence back, and it feels nice to take action that doesn't feel like you're going to be punished for it immediately afterward. And nothing sucked more than seeing the people who are supposed to be objective and have integrity and therefore should be on my side, supporting me, fucking supporting the people who were offending me. That was the worst part. That's what made me angrier to the point that I couldn't take the culture of the place anymore. But then, like I said in that one video, I met someone who set things right. And I'm so grateful for that experience because of what it means it meant that right when I was ready to quit, and I thought that that was it, there's just no way that anybody can have my trust again. I tried one more time. Like, I was submissive to like one person one more time, gave them that chance, and now I'm reaping the benefits. Like, it's been nothing but a time of harvest. And that makes me so proud because I can take that and apply it to my personal life too. Like, you guys know how I feel about my family and shit. Like, I have been giving one of my family members an opportunity to set things right. And it's kind of working. I'm not going to tell you guys anything yet, but if it turns into something meaningful and I'm able to repair that, that is only possible because of the skills that I have obtained from my job. And I'm thinking these character traits that I'm developing on the job are good to take outside of work too. So if it helps me fix my personal life as well, I'm fucking doing it. So yeah, I definitely went off on a tangent there, but just understand that this means so fucking much to me. Like, I just I had the most fear in the world. I had zero confidence. I was in so much pain, and like, you guys, this wasn't that long ago. This was 7 months ago, and back. So I've experienced the bad times longer than the good times. So now, the good times, however brief it may be, I just want to hold on to it for as long as I can so that when the bad times come back, because let's face it, that's life. Life is a cycle of good things and bad things. When that shit comes back, I won't be as overwhelmed by it, because just because it didn't break me before, it doesn't mean that in the future it can't. So I just want to be as prepared as possible, if that makes sense. So yeah, you guys, that's what happens. Yes, I have good management now. Um you must be one of the old timers there by now. Absolutely. I am 8.5 years in. And most people stay there either for like 2 months or maybe up to a year, year and a half, 2 years. We have the occasional person to makes it to the who makes it to the 5 year mark, but it used to be normal for people to hold on to the job for some time. You know, like when I got hired, there were more people working who had like 10 plus years working there than like other kind of experience. So then I told myself, this is the place to be. This may be, like retail or whatever, just selling shit, entry level job type of thing. But if people stay here, it's for a reason. And I knew what that reason was. And seeing that under attack, knowing that I'm now part of that, when I was hired, now I am part of what I used to see when I was hired. Now I'm like part of the vets. So yeah, I take great fucking pride in that. So to see that shit under attack, fuck yeah, I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna be pissed, and I'm going to fight with everything that I got. So yeah, that's what happened. I'm sure people understand that you know your stuff there. Yes, and you hit another good fucking point. Because I know my stuff there, these people were messing with me about it. And I said, no, why on God's green earth would you derail from procedure? If it's something that's expected, if it's something that is what we get paid to do, then you do it and you shut up. And if I'm pointing out to you that something is not getting done, you should be like, hey, thanks for bringing that matter to our attention. We'll take action. But instead, because of your bloody favoritism, because you kept hiring your fucking lazy ass friends, you were trying to treat me like I'm the problem. No, fuck you. You are the problem. Because you're hiring people who ain't good for this. So, another part that became frustrating was that fortunately, it was for a very brief period, but we ended up hiring someone as supervisor who was given the role because she happened to have like a good relationship with that management, but she had no talent whatsoever. She had no abilities, no attention to detail, no charisma, nothing. She bullshitted her way to that success. And to see that a role that used to be respectable, such as supervisor, just get that low, it was frustrating. What happened to the whole competitiveness aspect? You're just going to put absolutely anybody there. Morale just hit an all-time low. I had never seen it that low. And I'm someone who, like, I can be tired, I can be in pain, whatever, but you couldn't tell. You wouldn't be able to tell because I know how to look past that. It's like at that point I'm operating on spirit more than in flesh. I get the job done no matter the circumstances. But to see that other people, the most minimal thing could bring them down, fuck you. Just build a greater tolerance, build on your character. That's what I see. I see a lack of strength, lack of tolerance, lack of character, and that shit has consequences. You're experiencing them, but you're trying to make me feel like I'm the problem? Fuck you. And that's one of those things that if you guys would have known me in person back then and you felt like accusing me of having an attitude, that's not an attitude in a negative way. It's a no, I'm not taking your bullshit no matter how hard you try to like recruit me. This all happened to me because I was having none of that shit. Like there was like this army of women over there just being close friends and shit. And I said, I don't want a part in that because our performance is declining. You know, that's the whole reason management from outside the store is visiting. But you're oblivious to that. You're trying to tell us that stuff is okay when stuff is clearly not okay. And all of those who were kind of like me, like the good performers, we were all complaining about the same thing. So it's not me, okay? But you just don't want to accept it because you have this handful of other people entertaining you because they want something from you, and you accept that and tolerate that and derail from what's right. And then you're trying to penalize the few people who you have that are actually reliable. Because let me tell you, these people who they were best friends with each other, they were the ones who would call out all the fucking time. You know? So if that is what makes you proud, if those are your values, no, I'm not going to be compatible with you, and no, we cannot be friends. So stop it. So yeah, you guys, that was some of the stuff that used to piss me off. But now, with my current management, that just doesn't happen. And it's so good to see that, sure, I may have my vet status and experience, but I am actually being challenged again. And I'm grateful for that because I know that there is a lot of shit that I gotta learn that I don't know. But now, expressing that vulnerability, like, hey, I'm not very good with computer stuff. Can you help me? This, that, and the other. That's actually a rewarding experience now. Because in the past, information used to be withheld or just all kinds of bullshit. Like, for me to get a tool, you guys, I had to send email after email after email after email only to be met with the same fucking reply, which is, we're looking into it. I haven't forgotten. I'm in the middle of something else right now, but I'll get to it. And then as soon as this manager arrives, within like, how long did it take? 15 minutes or so? Something that I tried to get for 2 years, which was a document with an information from everybody in the team that I needed to build up this other document. I was requesting that information for 2 fucking years. And this new manager provided it to me in 15 minutes. What? I mean, it made me so, like, it shocked me so much. And not only that, but he said, not only am I going to give you this information directly, but on the computer, under our server, our file share folder, I'm going to create a document to where this is where it can be accessible for anybody who does this job. What? Past management, you used to have to run everything through them. You want a paperclip? Why do you need that for? You need to, you need the computer and you need to print this chart and this, for what? Like, fuck you. No. My current management is, I say, hey, I need this paperclip. They bring me a whole box. Hey, oh, you need this document? Here you go. They hand it to me in these dry ass ashy hands. They're put right on my hand. Whereas in the past, I used to just sit there and be neglected, and then it would make my job look bad. But guess what, bitch? I have more than one way of achieving the same thing. What you don't give me, I can find somebody else who can give it to me, even if it takes them a little longer because it's not their job to give it to me. So then this person would get mad that I was not talking to her to get my tools, and instead I was recurring to other people. You're a toxic ass motherfucker. That's what you are. And that's why I was so mad, because I'm not playing your game. I don't have time for games. I'm grown. You're older than me, but I'm acting older than you. How are you proud with yourself? So yeah, you guys, that was some of the shit that I was going through, and it nearly broke me psychologically, because I I just, I'm the kind of person who I like to look up to figures of authority. I will always respect you and I will always be loyal to you until I just cannot anymore. And this is an example of a time when someone lost that from me, and that was unprecedented. And now, like, when my new management arrived, I looked at it as, you're a new person, you deserve a clean, fresh start. But it took me so long to to not to grant this opportunity to this new person, but to behave in a manner that showed trust. This person had to earn my trust that in the past I inherently gave anybody who held those positions. Because I don't want to be the kind of person who makes it tough for you to adjust or adapt into something. It's like, no, you'll have my full blown cooperation from the start. But because of all the bullshit that I had just gone through, even though this person was completely from the outside, I still had my doubts. And I'm so glad that I was shown the way of trusting again. And that now I don't have anger, because I had so much anger. Like, I didn't know how much anger I had until my therapy sessions began, in which I was sharing with new management the kind of shit that I had just gone through. And the reason I said that is, I said, look, I have to admit that your style of management is so awesome, but it's incompatible with me because this is what I'm used to. How about if I tell you some stories and help me get over some shit? Tell me what's right, tell me what's wrong. And then this person was like incredibly objective, and to be treated that way so respectfully, which is what I had yearned and demonstrated in the past, it was just amazing to find myself again, but to also see what we are building. I like to be part of that. I like to be a part of not arriving somewhere and I inherit what has already been placed. I like to be a part of the building process. And that is where we are at again. Like, the reconstruction period. That is my favorite time. It's either when you're constructing something from scratch or reconstructions. Anything in life, that's how I am. But But like I thought that I had lost that, or that I would never come back to being that way. But it just took one person, and sure, let's count the person from my location who got his promo too. It took those two people in just a matter of a couple of months to set years of fucked upness right. And I am so grateful for that. I'm grateful for the experience, you know? Let's see. Where am I at? You have earned your stripes at your job. Fuck yes. And not to brag or be incredibly prideful, but that's just the way I was raised. I was raised to do my very best as I was trained, as I was educated, as I was shown, whether it's sunny, rainy, or stormy. And when I see people not living up to a similar standard, I hate that because your negative attitude for some reason can overpower the brightest shining stars. And I hate that. Why is it that the person who complains, the person who gossips, the person who exudes negative energy, why is that energy the one that like seems to win very often, and then someone strong has to like arrive at the scene to like overpower that? And sometimes that doesn't happen. That is what my frustration was. Sometimes we would hire new people who were amazing people in the beginning. Then they started hanging out with that fucking crowd, listening to what that fucking crowd was saying, and then that person was damaged forever. That disappointed me. That frustrated me. That's where my attitude was coming from. So I don't like for the good stuff to get corrupted, pretty much. And it's not good stuff because it's what makes me have a good time. For me, good times are when stuff is functioning. But if you're having a good time and we're not functioning and we're getting visits from management that's from out of the state, you know, there is a problem, and you're here acting oblivious because you're not under threats of being fired or anything. But if someone would have said, oh, if your numbers don't get better, we're going to have to take some action and some people may get terminated, would you lose your shit? I bet you would. So act every day like you're not taking the stuff that you have for granted. That should make you fearful. So fearful that you cannot even contemplate not doing things right for a second. That's the kind of person I am, you know? So yeah, you guys, it was more of a battlefield in my mind more than anything. Let's see. Everyone needs to chill and have a cookie. Cookies are very underutilized resource. Someone once said that to me actually at work. But instead of a cookie, it was a donut. That's what it was. It's not an easy exercise. Push-ups, hand positions do make a difference. Can you tell us a little about yourself? Bruh, I have told things about myself for like 5.5 years that I've had this bloody channel. So just click away from the stream and start catching up with some of those things. Every topic, every title is something about myself. So skip. Sorry about being late to the chat. I have been waiting for this. Always great to see and hear you. Hello, Reverend. Nah, you're good. The first few minutes I was just going over some of my so-called vlogging clipboard that I always say that I have, and I was going through the topics that I felt I could breeze through here, not necessarily warranting a short or long video. So I just thought I would make this a miscellaneous stream, just A, to be streaming, and B, to keep it kind of random enough so that everybody can have something to say, I guess. So yeah, yep. Happy to hear that your new manager support you. I know it had been a previous issue. Oh my god, yes. Like sometimes I get so much support on something that I didn't think I would get support, that it feels so weird and random. Like, where have you been my whole life? You know? Um, and like I said before, the toughest thing for me to learn had to be opening up again, trusting, and like, I'm not the kind of person who's like, well, because I'm miserable, I'm going to act on bad faith and I want to see you fail and this, that, and the other. Nothing like that. I was still loyal to my past management until the fucking end. Even though I was treated so wrong, so bad, it's like, this is my department, this is my team, this is my home. So whether I like it or not, your success or your failure is going to trickle down on me. You know how trickle down economics do not work like they have to? Well, in this case, your performance and whatever happens to you, it trickles down to us. So that is truly a shared destiny type of thing. So that's the kind of person I am. Like, no matter what, like, even if you're injured, I'm going to try to drag your fucking body out of the battlefield into safety until I just cannot do it anymore, you know? But in a sense, even though this is ridiculous, like, um you really have to believe in this stuff. So any of you guys who are not spiritually inclined, I'm about to really bore and annoy you for the next couple of seconds, but I looked at it as maybe that shit is something I needed to go through to develop a tougher, thicker skin. Because I thought I had it, but I was noticing that some stuff was affecting me much more than it should have. So it let me see that I had an area that I could improve. But I also said to myself, at what point is too much abuse too much to be tolerated, you know? But at the same time, it's just weird. Maybe it isn't, but like I said, this is me looking at it spiritually. It is so weird that right when I was about to quit, all of those people left, one after the other, after the other, after the other. I'm telling you, 100% of everybody in management now, in my immediate management, they are all new. All of them. Even the manager of my manager of my managers. Like, that's kind of the ranking that we have going on. They are all new. And in the past, unfortunately, being new was usually bad news because it meant that you had to catch up and you had to learn a lot of things in a very short amount of time, sometimes with the resources, sometimes without, sometimes with the right instructor, sometimes without. And some people wouldn't make it past that. But the people we hired happened to be prepared for this role. And it is a difference, like I said before, from heaven and hell. Because the person who was not prepared, even though this person gave it their all, they had to leave. And at the same time, I really respected the person who left. I was tight with that person. But I was seeing their behavior change as well. And even their health was taking a negative toll. So all of a sudden, I traded this person for someone else, someone completely new. And I feel so bad and guilty because this is going to sound really stupid, but I miss that former person who I was tight with. The cost was my current manager. And as happy as I am, as I've ever been with this new manager, I feel a degree of guilt that the price I had to pay was losing the other to have this one. And I am so grateful for this one, much happier with this one. But at the same time, there's that little part of me that's like, I gotta remember what I did obtain from this other person, that the only way I was able to heal from that is by looking at it as a seasonal thing. You know how you have your season when you get to grow pumpkins? Once that season is over, you have to let it go until another season comes back. That's how I had to look at this. Like, I had my season of really bad apples, a bad fucking harvest is what haunted me. That I just shared with you guys, all those negative experiences. Now I get a good season of good harvest, good product. Eventually, that season is going to end, and I have to accept it and let it go. I have to let it go, but I must not forget it. I gotta remember the good stuff that came out of it that built me up to tolerate the upcoming storm better. Because I'm telling you, I will never be the same person again. You're not supposed to be the same person, like, um, unless you're growing. Like, you can remain the same person at your core, like who you are, what you are, but there's some stuff that you have to grow from. And that's what I'm saying. There was some stuff that I wouldn't have grown from had I not let go. So until I accepted that and looked at it objectively and let go of some shit, I didn't heal. I wouldn't have healed from all of that. So I'm telling you guys, it's been a process, and that's why sometimes I had to like disappear from the channel so that I could just be in my own little space, processing everything, and just taking space in general. Like just focus on my day and process it objectively, and then at some point get back to the way my routine was. Because even though, like, say the channel, it's nothing difficult for me, it was part of the routine during those bad times for me. And I was starting to see how that was sort of seeping into the channel, and I hated that. So I said, until I regain control and get my confidence back, I think that I should just periodically show up with the things that I do feel comfortable, but then I do have to kind of hide. And my journal, I haven't touched it since November. So so I'm telling you, I really had to take some space from some things so that I could get myself together. Let's see. You're looking very pretty tonight. Thank you. This was just some random clothes that I found. Whatever I lay my hand on, that's the first thing that I grabbed after I was done with the gym. It sounds like you may have melted down to your new managers because you needed someone to finally listen to you and value what you had to say. That is exactly what it was. And the reason I say that is because I actually came back to those new managers and I was like, so do you remember those times when I had my meltdowns and I was really like stressed and shit? This is what was happening. Like, I was hurt and I didn't know what kind of medicine to reach out for to heal me. Does that make sense? And then that one person, my new manager, all he said was, I know. And I'm like, what? Like, you knew that and you didn't fucking tell me? Like, you didn't tell me that you're aware that it's my fucking stress doing that to me, this, that, and the other. And he was like, well, no, I didn't say anything because I wanted you to arrive at that conclusion yourself. And all I want is for you to immediately stop being so hard on yourself. When he said that I am so hard on myself, like very hard on myself, I'm like, that doesn't make any goddamn sense. Like, I was in so much denial. Like, it wasn't making any goddamn sense. And I wanted to get so mad at him. I don't know what it was, but I just remember I was lit. I was livid. And I thought, he's being a clown. He's being nothing but a clown right now. I'm going to dismiss it. But then that's when I learned that the best way to get support is for someone to remain calm. Because if this new manager would have freaked out with me, even though he's on my side and he's agreeing and he's helping me, if he would have what is it, accompanied me in my misery, then that's not a very good model. And I guess that in the past, I was accustomed to people kind of mirroring my conduct. Like, the only person I ever became tight with um, at the job, and that was when she left, that's when the other issues began, like to get out of control. Because someone who had like the same values and traits and all that that I exhibited, that person is gone, and she was in a management position. Now, who's there to hold people up to the standard, hold people accountable? No one was there doing that. So I guess that's where me being hard on myself came from. And this person had only known me for a couple of weeks, and he was able to draw that conclusion. It helps when you're an outsider. And I just remember I just remember telling myself, I really hope that one day I can see myself through his eyes. And once I started looking at him more as a mentor, very briefly, because I like to respect the fact that this is the manager for me. This is my manager. Like, this is the person I report to. This is the person who examines my performance and all that. So, like, I still gotta be respectful of that. But the fact that he was handling that so well, but it was in a way that I wasn't used to, that is what taught me my own damn lesson that I had forgotten about. You guys ever hear me say, those of you who have been watching me for a long time, how I say, I don't care how long it takes for someone to learn something, as long as they get it. And that's what made me want to be a teacher so bad. That person used that on me, and it completely flew over my fucking head. And that's when I knew that I had found myself someone good. And and now, in a sense, there's a part of me that is so embarrassed that I was suffering and struggling so much uh, with the past. But when I tell myself that, I say, that is the fucking point. I had to go through that so that I'm able to see now what functionality looks like. Now it's like I have adapted to what we have going on now, which is the right way of doing things, that that's my new normal. Whereas in the past, it wasn't. So, had I not gone through that experience, I wouldn't be able to value what I have now. And it's just crazy that the very stuff that I live by, that I believe in, that I feel like I preach often, at that moment in time, I fucking forgot it. Like, it got so out of control that I got out of touch with my own damn self. But this person brought me back around. That's what this is about. Let's see. Maybe you will be that manager that has. Maybe you will be that manager that he has modeled to you. I cannot imagine a life in which I take on more responsibilities than I already have. Pew, pew! I really cannot imagine it. I really don't think that I'm suited for that because, like I expressed before, full time, gotta be in a place that I don't want to say that I don't like being there. It's just that there's more that I want to do outside of there. But if I put myself in a position where I'm spending more time there, the stuff that's important to me outside of there is going to suffer. And you have to convince me that that's negotiable. Trust me, I have thought about it. I have thought, what if I become the next supervisor? Which I have tried. And then I have also thought, what if I become the next, what is it? The next step. And then eventually this will be my own team, whatever. But I like to look at the team like it's my team before it is on paper my team. You know, I'm already a part of it, but I understand the difference between actually having the responsibility versus being a member of it, but at the level that I'm at. Trust me, you guys, I don't enjoy not being more. Like, based on my capacity, based on what I have to offer and all that, I don't enjoy like being in my comfortable spot. It's just that the inspiration for me to do that and see it as worth it is not there. Only because of the politics that govern the place. I cannot imagine a life in which I'm constantly working 40 fucking hours a week. No amount of, I'm gonna pay you this much, I'm gonna give you all these benefits and all of this, no amount of that has seduced me at this point. So I have to be responsible with myself and determine. I have ridden out a lot of storms. And sure, I'm in a better place now than I was years ago. But when it comes to career advancement, that shit doesn't feel right. I don't dream about it. I'm not excited about it. I'm not, I don't have that fire in me for that shit. I do have it for the stuff that I'm doing outside of there, for sure. But for that place, I just don't. And if you were to suggest maybe you can try a different company, a different place, it's still the same thing. Like management, admin stuff, I have always hated that shit. Like for my personality, blue collar shit is what suits me better. And I know that one day I'm gonna get old and I'm gonna not feel the same and I'm going to want to do easier things. But until that time comes, as long as I keep feeling this way, this is what I want to continue to do because it's what feels right. And trust me, throughout my life, a lot of shit has never felt right. But me going at this pace has felt right. So if you can somehow take that and give it to me in a way that's most suitable for me, such as, I don't know, being the manager of my own shit as opposed to something that's pre established. Because remember, I like to build things, I like to construct things. But in this case, if it's mine, but if I give my talents to that place, sure, I'll gain the experience. I need it. I value it, whatever. And I can take that with me anywhere in the world for the rest of my life. But I don't want that. It's not my calling. I don't want to be doing something just for the commitment of I gotta go through this misery so that on paper I can say that I did it. No. I don't like to be fake. I don't like to like fake my way through something to get something. Or like some people who go to college and they survive through their degree so that they can get the bloody degree just so that they can say that they have it and opportunities magically open up for them, but they're not living full lives because you're living a fucking lie. You lied to yourself. You rode through something you did not want to do deep down. That's not what I want to do. Like, no amount of, well, if you do this now, you'll open up so many opportunities for yourself. Da, 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 da. I don't care. I'm not seduced by it. You haven't convinced me. Convince me. But when I tell people to convince me, they tell me the same shit. And I'm like, see, this works for you because those are your values. They're not mine. So convince me. Convince me that I'm wrong and that it's worth it, and put fear in me, the fear of, guess what, I've been homeless, so you can't say, well, the fear of poverty should make you pretty fearful. I've been homeless. That shit doesn't scare me. So that, I want to say that's the most absolute rock bottom that I have ever hit, and that shit did not depress me, it didn't intimidate me, that nothing. So like, convince me, please. But I'm telling you, I've contemplated it. I've thought, what if this were my team? One day this could be mine, but I don't have it in me. I truly don't have it in me. Let's see. You sound so much more confident now than in years past. I'm so happy for you. Thank you. Because I actually had to stop myself the other day and be like, I can really feel my growth. Like, I remember a time I used to be so shy, so timid, and I had like my old phone and I used to have to record my videos in just one shot. And sometimes I would be like, this is a piece of shit. I hate that I don't sound like what I really know I am supposed to sound like, but baby steps, baby steps. But now it's like, I roll with it. Like I'm supposed to. I used to overthink shit so much. Like, oh my God, I gotta prepare for this and like set the stage so that I can flourish. What an artificial, sorry ass way to live life. I lacked so much confidence, and I knew deep down that my lack of confidence was stupid, but I just did not know how to mentor myself out of that. And it's just crazy weird to me how I can help other people and make other people feel so good, so amazing, so confident about their damn selves. But when it comes to me, when I hit like my low, like that's it. I can stay stuck there for weeks, months, years, but it takes one little thing, one fucking little thing, or one person to completely bring me back around. My biggest frustration is that I can never be that fucking person for myself. Why? Just why? Is it because I'm my own source of inspiration that I share with others and I can be that model for others? So therefore, I cannot be my own damn model because if I'm the source, then that means I have it, I should have it, but going about it solo is just not the same. What is it? Just what is it? So yeah, I see what you're saying. You're right. I do see it too in myself. Like the this feels like I have been this person this entire time. I just never felt good showing it. And that is so stupid and childish. And now I'm resentful that I'm not getting that time back, you know? But I also think, no, because that's part of the journey. You have to enjoy the journey. It's part of it. But it's just sad that I was aware that that was happening to me years ago. As much as I wanted to believe that I was confident, I was mistaking bravery with confidence. Like, no matter what, I always had the courage to show up everywhere, to do everything that was asked of me, and to the best of my knowledge, best of my ability. Sure, I was usually number one at like everything, but like it didn't feel like my own achievement. It's so weird. It's like I did it, but my soul wasn't there, and that's what made me feel like I wasn't accomplishing anything. If that doesn't make sense, don't worry about it. It's not really like the meat of the content, I guess, but I'm just trying to express that I was trapped in my own mind, and it's just weird that I still feel like I'm the same person. It's just that my essence, I guess, I'm letting it show now. As opposed to in the past, I used to not show a lot. I don't know how to put it into words, you guys. And it's weird because as much as I talk about myself and all that, I feel like I shouldn't struggle putting that out there. But since this is something so new to me, then I guess I haven't organized my thoughts on it yet. But that is the best way that I can describe it, honestly. Um, do you have an Etsy shop? I don't. I have heard about it, but yeah, no, I don't do Etsy. How's your car holding up? my car is okay. It definitely got hella snowed on. And outside of that, everything is good. I recently did the tire rotation, oil change, all that basic shit that you gotta periodically do. Um, and that weird noise that I don't know if I told you guys that I was hearing coming from like one of the wheels or tires or something. It was simply my rim, I guess. It's made of like plastic and something kind of metallic, and I was hearing something go like click, 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 click. So I was thinking, as long as the car is not compromised in any way to where I'm gonna be going down the highway 70 miles per hour and something is like gonna break on me, and then, I'll be stranded and towed and all that, um, I'm fine. But yeah, my car is okay. The project that I have pending on it, it's absolutely me being a diva. But in a sense, not. I want to get my windows tinted so bad because each summer I've been noticing that, like, because I don't wear those sunglasses that I used to wear because I can't find fit over sunglasses that fit these, even though these glasses have the transition. Um, when you're driving, the transitions don't quite activate um, quite like when I'm actually walking outside. I guess it's because the windshield, as it is, it naturally blocks off some of the UV rays. But I've just been noticing that it sucks to drive on sunny days. And like, I want to get my windows tinted so that I don't suffer so much from the sun. And I've been noticing that my skin problems happen during the summer. And I feel like it happens when I'm exposed to the sun. Because last summer, I tried to wear long sleeves as much as possible, but like, the kind that doesn't leave me gasping for air or anything, like just thin stuff. And I noticed that I didn't have as many issues. So I'm thinking, what if the times that I spend driving, that may have something to do. So in a sense, I want to get my windows tinted more for health reasons. So I'm hoping that my tax money is generous enough, but I can never really count with my tax money because there's usually some big bill that's pending or some major repair for something else that's pending. And honestly, another thing that I need is a new fucking subscription. Not subscription, prescription for my glasses. This prescription is the one from like 3 years ago. So, because I lost my vision coverage, I've been trying to save up for that and also save up for my stupid car window tint. So, I've been playing a game of what is the most important thing for me to get right now. It's definitely my glasses. So if I get my glasses, what is it, fixed this year, like a new prescription, that's game over for the window tints. And another thing that I should do is like do that so-called follow-up with the dentist that I was supposed to have done before the Rona hit. So now I'm behind on that, and I lost dental coverage as well. And I didn't want to sign up for it this year because that meant that my fucking premium would go up. And I'm like, bitch, I'm struggling to pay the new price of my rent. So you're asking me for more fucking money. So anyway, so that's kind of where I'm at with my car. So in a sense, I look at it as this is always going to be the least important thing. But when it comes to improving it, that's the project that I have pending. I'm trying to like save up to have the windows tinted. And I really think that it does more than just protect me and my stupid skin and my stupid eyes from the sun. It also would protect the interior of the car better. But I'm thinking, I've had this car for almost 9 years now. So, like, is there really a whole lot of protection that I can do for the interior at this point? It's not like it looks bad on the inside or anything. But But my greatest pain has been that that car was fucking not tinted from the beginning. So if I have control over that next time I buy a car, hopefully it'll be a long ass time before I have to do that again. But I really hope that my next car will be pre tinted. So yeah, that's where my car is at. But the rest of it is okay. I also got a new battery for it. So my last visit to get him, up to date, it was like over $1,000. So don't even fucking remind me. But I had planned for that. I had begun to save for that a couple of years ago because my mechanic had told me, hey, you can anticipate that this is going to happen, this, that, and the other. You're going to need new tires too. So start saving up for that. Like always, like everything in life, everything happens at the same fucking time. So when I talk about my car, it's like, oh shit, I gotta remember it's getting older, so it's gonna start needing things. So that's where I've been. I've been playing a game of balancing, and so far everything happens to be working out. Like I actually finished paying off for all of that shit. I think it was either my last paycheck or my paycheck before. So I'm really proud. I did it all by myself. I got no fucking help whatsoever. And I still have more than $20 in my bank account. Yay! Not everybody can say the same compared to, especially me years ago. You guys know my situation was super dire. I love when you emphasize your words when you know what you know. Emphasis, guys, emphasis. Although shouting does not make your point any more valid, like, I like to be the kind of person who speaks with like character. Like have some jazz and seasoning to your personality. It doesn't help that I'm already naturally monotone. So that is something that I had to fucking work on because I found that I didn't inspire myself listening to myself. So I said I need to bring out that inner clown in me and become more dynamic, so yeah, I like to pretend that getting loud will emphasize something. It's silly, but yeah, I'm genuinely this way. Like if you know me in person, this is how I talk. Unless you're someone who I'm not tight with or you depress the fuck out of me, then the kind of tone that you'll hear is a little bit more reserved, a little more cold shouldered. But normally, this is 100% how I am. Except that on some instances, it may be a little extra than what I can portray on video because I'm talking to a damn screen. But if we're like in person and you have your own personality, your own dynamic going on, and then you meet with mine, it's like, it makes the fire burn greater, but there's only so much projection I can do when I'm like physically by myself, projecting onto something that I was never fucking educated to do. Like nobody told me how to talk to a damn camera. So I'm trying to put my personality into this fucking thing, and that is something that has taken me 6 years to conquer. But hey, I'm here, and that's what matters. So yeah, I appreciate that you guys say things like that because it's one of those things that, like I've said before, for me, anytime I share something about myself, you should feel privileged because that takes a lot of courage. I was super reserved for a long ass time, and I never imagined a life in which I would allow myself to be seen like this. So I like to tell people you should feel privileged that I'm actually talking to you as much as I'm talking because I usually don't talk this much. I admire the fact that you stick up to your values. It's what makes you magnificent to me. I mean, hell yeah. Why not? I hate that about some people who I have met over the years. Like, let's say that for whatever reason you say, oh, I am very strict about this, that, and the other. Keep it up. Why would you allow for your discipline to be altered by a little something something? If you like to go to bed at 8 p.m. every night, then you go to bed at 8 p.m. every night unless something catastrophic happens. Like, I don't know, you have to be overnight at a hospital or something. But bullshit ass reasons. This is an example of a bullshit ass reason. When you go to bed past your bedtime and you're tired as fuck the next day and you're underperforming and you're complaining about it. Clearly you're not proud about what you did the night before, which was not sticking up to your value of getting your sleep. If you sacrifice that and it has consequences, you deal with those consequences, but fucking quietly. But if you're complaining about it, clearly you did not enjoy the decision you made. Okay, that's a you problem. You did not think this through well enough. Just shut up about it. I'm that person. Like, it's kind of mean and cruel, but I think I do that because that's how I used to be. And I'm embarrassed that I used to be that way. Like, you could intimidate me, bully me into submission. And one day I said, no, fuck you. Neither you nor anybody else is going to make me feel that way. So if I say that for religious reasons I don't do this, that, and the other, then I won't do this and that and the other. Respect it. Period. If you don't like it, then goodbye. Fuck you. But for the longest time, I never had the guts to do that. Um, like, fortunately, because I'm antisocial, I didn't find myself in those situations very often. But when I did, it would take a lot of courage for me to like stick up to my values. But now, because I practiced that, and more often than not, I was that person who like respected her values and lived up to them no matter what. Um, it became hard though when the people who were similar to me exited my life. Let it be because we grew up and had careers that took us far away, we lost contact, whatever may have caused us to lose touch. I felt like I was by myself. And now I'm struggling to find people who at least understand that. But I guess my method, my way of being is so antiquated that I just have to get with the times, that that's something that people just don't value. But at the same time, I say to myself, no, because now I feel like that's what makes me valuable. The fact that these traits are becoming rare. But it's just weird for me that I have to be a source of inspiration now when I used to have sources of inspiration. Inspiration and motivation. Like, inspire me to want something. I got it. But now motivate me to continue with that discipline. That's where my struggle is. And the way I conquered that struggle is I looked at myself as I'm going to have to be my own damn model until my shortcomings become so evident that I have to meet a model to help me get better. So, say at my job, getting my new manager and me seeing what my weaknesses had become. But yeah, it was usually very easy for me because I could avoid putting myself in situations where my values could be put at risk. But I always knew that I don't talk out my ass. Like, it infuriates me when people do not follow through with what they say. I take that very seriously. I'm very strict with that shit because that's how I am. So if you're not going to respect that to the same extent that I do, what the fuck is the point? We don't belong as friends or tight or together or whatever the fuck. So yeah, you guys, it's been a trip. But like I have said before on the channel, if there is stuff that you want to see from me that I haven't shown you yet, you better believe you ain't getting it. Like, no matter how desperate or hungry or frustrated or homeless or whatever I am, No, I am not going to make a bloody OnlyFans. So stop asking. And hopefully, the older I get, the less that shit interests the few of you clowns who are not present in the stream. None of y'all. Thank you. But the occasional, fucking troll who, like, leaves a stupid comment saying stuff like that. No, no, I'm telling you, I mean every fucking word that I say on this channel. Unless I change my mind on something and I tell you guys, hey, do you remember how I said I don't like apples? Guess what? I like apples. But outside of that, who you see, what you see, this is what you're getting. Okay? So if I have not, like, succumbed to that shit yet, it's because I'm not going to. So no amount of you pressuring me is going to make me do that. Okay? So shut up. I can't remember when was the last time I got a comment like that, but I feel like those get eliminated before I even get to see that those comments got there. But yeah, I just thought it was so dumb. Like, clearly making that comment worked on someone else at some point, and now you think that you have this power to influence people. Well, I got bad news for you. If the way that I conduct my channel doesn't suit you, it's not going to change. Maybe eventually I'll create more content that's more outdoorish, kind of like that birds video that I made last spring. Do you guys remember that? That was cool. So yeah, I'll change a few things here and there, but no, like, this is what this is about. So if you don't like it, just fuck away, like, fuck off. What was it like being homeless? So fortunately, being homeless was something very brief for me. I actually made a video about it. I think it was my video about Kansas. But basically, long story short, what happened was back in, like, let's see, 2013-ish, we were moving out to Kansas to help a friend of my mom's set up some kind of bakery. We were prepared. We wanted to help her manage it, say, everything that it takes to start a business, like the legal aspects of it, the managerial aspect of it, the financial aspect of it. This person was recurring to mom and I because she felt we were people who were trustworthy and honest and potentially possessive of enough education for the task at hand, I guess. And anyway, it didn't work out. Long story short, we ran out of money trying to come back to our home state. And we pretty much had to live in our car, which is currently the car that I have, the cars you guys see me in. We had to live in my car for about a month. And we were hauling the most important things that we could until we could, like, either one of us gets hired and we just figure out a way how to bring the rest of our stuff. But what ended up happening was after that month, we were able to, whatever little bit of money we had left, we made it to one of my friends from school. She was living with her mom and she was about to go off to college. So she also had a baby sister. We went to their place for about a month-ish until I got hired. And then eventually mom got hired too. Mom got hired about a week after I got hired. So once we finally got paid, I want to say 2 times, then we were able to get our own apartment. And after a year, we moved to this place that I was at. But to go back to your question, I just wanted to let you know how it sort of happened. But to answer your question, it wasn't scary nor stressful only because I wasn't by myself, I was with mom, and mom has always been a very resourceful person, and I think she gets that from her grandparents. But I just remember that the only time it would get a little scary was nighttime, because if you are somewhere you're not familiar with, you have to be kind of smart about where you decide to crash. So what we would do is mom would try to get like 3 hours of sleep, and then I would get my 3 hours of sleep, and then eventually we tried moving back. It was like an 18-ish hour drive, and we made it halfway through. We stopped at one state, spent a couple of nights there, and then we finally made it to my friend's place, since we were not having any luck finding jobs there either. But no matter what, I had told my mom, I don't care if this bakery becomes like a multi-billion-dollar business. I want to go back to my home state, because I fucking hate it here in, what is it, central USA. Okay, I had never been this fucking far out west geologically. Back then, I was fresh from school, so I was really into my geology stuff. If you guys don't know, I would have gone to college for geology major and meteorology minor. So it was a wonderland out there to see all of those storms, right? But I hated how flat everything was. Everything felt like a desert, and the temperature just fucking sucked. I was taking showers with hard fucking water that was leaving my skin feeling like I was about to be a damn chicken fried in a pot. I had never seen so many red bumps on my damn skin. That was another thing. And I was thinking to myself, I believe that winters here can get pretty severe, and that's not exactly something I'm equipped for. So I just knew that I needed to go back to my crib. So it was stressful when you couldn't really anticipate what was coming next. And like I mentioned before, the thing that was becoming scary is that we were running pretty low on money. So at that time, even places that are entry level, we weren't getting any calls for. Like, I wasn't getting called for fucking McDonald's. I wasn't getting called for Walmart. I got called for a job at Walmart, uh, not from Kansas, but from our alternative state. Um, about 2 months into me getting my job. That would have sucked, okay? Because on top of that, it didn't help that my car still needed to have payments made. And remember that you also need to have insurance on that mug, and our cell phones, that was another bill. So that was the stress, not having any kind of income. But these bills do not know that, hey, you're homeless. Let me put a little bit of a pause or a break on this shit. No, like, that shit was going. So, um, our situation without income, I guess, it lasted about 3-ish and a half months. And the actual homelessness lasted more like a month. But mom really had some good ideas about how to make things work. We would pick one day to do our laundry, and then the way we showered was, there was this like church place or whatever that we just had access to. It was kind of like a soup kitchen, I guess. And we explained our situation, and they gave us that solution. And I said, hey, I'm taking it. And I honestly do not remember a whole lot from that era, to be honest. I just remember that mom just had a really good way of keeping everything organized. And what we ended up doing to give my car a little bit of a rest, to not be holding so much weight and, making it dangerous, we ended up renting the cheapest ass storage that we could find. It was like, I think it was like $40 for a month or something. So that was doable. But mentally, the only frustration was the monetary aspect. Emotionally, it was actually a positive thing because since I was exposed to a survival situation, if you will, it helped me bond with mom in a way that I otherwise wouldn't. She got to share a lot about things that she would do when she would lack resources, or say when her parents would go through difficult times. And she said, look, no matter what, just believe that you'll get through it. Be organized, be smart. That's really the key to survival. Use your knowledge, your tools, your resources, whatever you have, always, always, always use it to its maximum efficiency. Don't be wasteful. Don't get frustrated that you don't have air conditioner. Don't be frustrated that you don't have like the food that you love to eat. Be grateful that you do get to eat and that you get to drink water. That's what we're doing. You know, this is not the healthiest food in the world. And I know that certain things give you stomach issues. I'm sorry. You may need to suffer for some time, health wise. But just remember that this is incredibly temporary. So I think some of my mental strength and character came from that time. Um, and it was also a time when I wasn't necessarily the tightest with mom. Like toward the end of my school period, up until that time, uh, we weren't really getting along for about 2 years. But when we found ourselves in that situation, I guess she became my coworker at living life, and I really value that time because we couldn't be mad at each other. That's the time when we needed each other the most. And I was like so fucking young too that it was a test, a real test of my patience, my faith, all of those things. Um, Physically, I'm not gonna lie, it was uncomfortable because when your car is like full and you cannot like push your seat back and it's summer, it sucks, okay? Like it would get pretty warm, and we also had to save gas and everything. um I want to say the one thing I missed the most was that having a bed so that I could like stretch myself out. And now that I have gotten a little older and I get pain like in my back and my joints significantly easier than back then, which back then those issues were not existent. I think if I were to find myself homeless again, what I would do is immediately rent the storage, dump all my shit in there, and my car is going to be absolutely free of bullshit so that I can fit in the back seat and probably put the seats down, and then like the trunk is gonna be like my blanket. Gonna stretch my legs out and then put a giant ass pillow on what would be the back of the back seats, and that will be my fucking bed. That's what I would do differently. But back then I couldn't do that because not only was my car like my home, but it was also my storage. So physically, that's the way I would accommodate it now. But yeah, you guys, I guess I was pretty fortunate that the circumstances turned out in that way. Like, mom happened to be resourceful, and I also happened to be like younger, so I guess I had, not that I've ever struggled with energy, but I had that sense of looking at it as an adventure because um, I didn't really have a lot of responsibilities. I really didn't have any real bills going on. And what is it? I was like clean. I was starting my life. But if that were to happen to me now, it's like, sure, I gotta stress out over the bills that I have now that are more complex than what I dealt with at the time, because everything was mom's responsibility. But yeah, I hope that answered your question. It's kind of all over the place because I sincerely do not remember a lot because it wasn't a traumatic experience for me. It was more of, I looked at it as I was temporarily displaced. But I have to call it what it was. I was homeless. I didn't have anywhere to go. And you guys know that, like, I really don't have a relationship with the rest of my family. And on top of that, we're all dispersed. We're all far from each other. And on top of that, it's one of those situations where I feel like discretion is what works better, because if you go around telling people that you're in that situation, maybe that information will fall on the wrong ears, and then that's where your life will get complicated. So I guess that's what helped. Like, because nothing catastrophic happened, it's so easy to forget that I went through that. But I just know that now, if that were to happen, I'm slightly more resourceful than I used to be back then. Um, but I would think that I would never have to go through that again. But let's face it, like, it's just mom and I. And, like, I don't feel comfortable to this day. I don't feel like I would be comfortable telling people that I'm struggling again. So, like, you guys, I don't think you guys would know. Maybe the way that you guys would figure it out is if all of a sudden, uh which I said this the other day, if all of a sudden you guys never saw me back in my apartment, or you guys never saw Dusty again, or something like that. That's why I made the joke the other day. Hey, contrary to what you may believe, I'm actually not homeless. I'm not living in my car. It's just that in my car I have better lighting, and when I'm on the go, sometimes that's when I have time to make videos. So don't worry, I'm not living in the streets or anything. But I don't think that I would admit to anybody that I'm in that situation. Not because I'm embarrassed, but more because I'm scared of how vulnerable that would make me. Like, not everybody will listen to that and have good intentions. So I think that mom and I being so discreet with that shit is probably what keep us safe more than not. Does that make sense? But yeah, it's not like I was one of those people holding up a sign or anything saying that we're homeless and we need shit. Nothing like that. Mom still had a little bit of money from when she had recently stopped working. Um, so that little bit of money was supposed to be what kept us afloat in Kansas until we got hired, but also on the side helped our friend start her fucking business, which we never did. So had that trip not happened, it would have cost me a lot in the mental department, because I would not have matured from some shit quite as well. Not that I was a diva back then or anything, but what I'm saying is that learning about something in theory is different from actually going through it. So I was happy to see that I was able to remain calm. And mom told me this like some years after, but she told me that her seeing me being cool, calm, and collected inspired her when she was about to freak out, thinking that our situation was really bad and not going to get better. Like, she seriously thought that she wouldn't be able to pull us out of that. And I said, why did you feel that way? You were preaching to me to be like faithful and be confident and all that shit, and you were flaking? What? Were you just fucking lying to me? So it was good to, again, go through the experience, and when you are being put to the test, you hold on to what you actually believe in, and shit worked out. But it just shocked me when she told me that. I said, if anyone should have freaked out, it's me. Because, like, I was the younger person. I'm supposed to be the more immature of the two, and all that. But it it definitely helps that I was never a diva. Like, I'm never the kind of person who's like, well, I need to have a shower every day, and it has to be like this and that, and I have to use my name brand soaps and shampoos and shit. I don't even remember how I washed my hair back then. Because let me tell you, I had it super long. Because I couldn't get a haircut. But but yeah, I wish I could tell you more about what it was like, but because it wasn't traumatic, I sincerely don't remember it. And this was also like what, it's about to be 10 years now. Next year, I guess it'll be 10 years since all that shit happened. So it's not a topic that I have really been continually revisiting to like have the details fresh in my memory. I definitely journaled about some of it, but it's hard to do that when at the time you're focused on resolving that situation. So you don't really have time to reflect about, are you cold? Are you hot? Are you comfortable? Are you hungry? How are you feeling? Like, you just don't have time for that. So, but what I can tell you is that I remember that time not being miserable times at all. The only time it became miserable was when we had to leave because that fucking biatch did what she did, and then mom and I just had to leave her crazy ass, and we had to leave, but we didn't have a source of income because we had just recently moved to the state of Kansas. So like nobody knows us, nobody knows our education, shit like that. So you're starting your life over. When you move, it just sucks because you're having to start over. And that's why I told mom I don't care what happens, but in 3 months I am out of here. With a business, without the business, I am out and going back to where I came from because at least they know what my high school is. They know the name of all of these courses that I took, and I have better chances of making it there than making it out here in fucking Kansas. Why am I here? So yeah, it really wasn't bad, but I know that I come from a privileged position where at that time mom had just bought the car, and what can I say? We were younger and more capable of certain things, but yeah, it it wasn't bad, I must admit. And I really think that we played that game smart. And I'm also grateful for my friend at the time who opened the doors to her home along with her mom. And I said, look, this is going to be incredibly temporary. All we need to do is wait for someone to call us. Whatever job calls me first, I'm taking it. And fortunately, it was the place that I was excited about being. So when I got that call, I said, I know this is the beginning of a great journey. And then, same thing happened to mom. The place she wanted actually called her too. So it just worked out. And that's why I like to say, when I tell the story, I have to tell it from a spiritual perspective because I really think that it was more of the universe doing its thing more than us doing it because it just worked out. So weird. Like maybe if we would have planned for it, it wouldn't have worked out, you know? So yeah, that's where that comes from. Let's see. What is OnlyFans? OnlyFans is supposed to be this site where like it's become associated with like people who make content that's like inappropriate and stuff. I don't think it was supposed to originally be a site for that because don't we have like 7,000 and maybe millions of like porn sites out there? But basically, you have the option of showing your audience like more intimate aspects of you, and then during the situation from 2020 that we're still affected by, a lot of people were able to turn that into like a big business for themselves until some rule that they changed pertaining to privacy or something, and then everybody lost their minds because all of a sudden their source of income as they knew it was no longer reliable. So yeah, it was just really convoluted. Like, it's just one of those sites where primarily women get to benefit for using their stupid body. That's it. So use your imagination for the rest. That is like a very, very oversimplified definition. It's more of my opinionated definition. But just know that it's one of them websites where you can upload content for people willing to pay. Put it that way. I'm glad you do what you value. I liked your walkthrough your old hometown. Thank you. That was a video that was like, I would have loved to have done a better job at it if I could have had, say, my own camera crew, like someone holding this for me so I could point at things and like narrate it a little better. But the whole point was to revisit a place with so many memories, like where I fucking came from, and be like, okay, okay, wow, I can go down the street and remember and feel it just like I used to. And now that I have experienced a different life coming back here, I understand why I had to leave and why that wasn't the place for me to stay. And now that I have that experience, I'm able to explain even more things that I simply felt were missing pieces to this puzzle in my brain emotionally. And my dream would be to do that, but with my brother. Because my brother and mom did go back to my hometown some months ago. But then they asked me if I wanted to go, and I said nah, because I don't do well in group trips. I'm more of a one-on-one person. And if I do that trip with mom, it's like, ma, we live together. So like, I'm not saying that you don't have stories to tell, but I was there for like 95% of these stories. The only ones I wasn't there for were the ones for when you were at work and I was in school and we couldn't be there with each other for obvious reasons. And then the other 2% was them nights when you would go out and hang out with your work friends and shit. But outside of that, I have been there for the entirety of that time. So if there's anyone I should embark on that trip with, is my brother, because he left when I was still in middle school. So I got stories to tell. He got stories to tell. And there is some stuff that we spent our time apart. Even though we lived in the same house, my brother and I were actually pretty cold with each other. We were not tight at all. So it's interesting to see that my brother and I are actually becoming acquainted more now, presently, than when we were growing up. And maybe if we were to go back to our hometown and experience that together, I can ask him more direct questions like, hey, do you remember that time you got really pissed off at this parking lot? What happened? Or do you remember going to that building in school that they tore down? What used to be taught there? Because I never took classes there. Little things like that. I can tell him about the more modern times, and he can tell me about the more older times. That would be interesting for me to produce. But our lives are different. He's a pilot. So when the fuck is he here? Never. So it's one of those things that it's going to have to happen. Uh, I don't want to say by luck, but because he's just getting started on his stuff, it would kind of look bad for a new person to be taking like so much time off anyway. Um, but but yeah, if there's anyone who it would be interesting to do such a thing with, would be my brother, because I know he got stories to tell. It sounds like your mom is pretty amazing too. Mom is amazing for sure. And by the way, is it past midnight? Okay, it is past midnight. Past midnight. Yesterday was her birthday. But it was so sad, you guys. Like, it took me a long time to heal from this, but it was so sad that when I was a teen, she was going through some stuff that I guess I can look back and say I didn't understand, and I was going through some stuff that she didn't understand, and we were not really getting along for about 2 years. And I remember journaling about some of that. I want to say I took up journaling around that time because the only person in the world that I had, now she was tripping and now I was left by myself. That was the beginning of me feeling like I was by myself. Um, and I just remembered that the best way I can put it is when I would try to say something, she was sensitive. I felt like she was getting offended about everything I was saying. And I'm thinking, woman, where's your bloody sense of humor? What I'm telling you today is no different from how I used to talk to you a year ago, 2 years ago. What happened? What happened to my mom? Like, what are you? And I guess it's because maybe I didn't know this, but I was evolving too. And maybe I had just become cold about some things. God, I wish I had an example to give you guys, but everything is a blur. I guess to put it metaphorically, the best way I can describe it is maybe she was used to me being a kid who would go to her bed to hang out with her and just chat from like 6 p.m. until midnight, telling stories. But then all of a sudden, I grew up and I stopped doing that, and that offended her. Does that make sense? Um, Maybe another thing could be something like, let's say that I make jokes about how fucking fat I am, because back then I was fucking fat. So let's say that I make a joke about me being fat, and then all of a sudden I make a joke to her about maybe her being like bigger too, her gaining weight too. For some reason that would offend her, even though we were poking fun at myself and I was able to take that. But all of a sudden, you changed in the same manner that you feel like I'm no longer that little kid who jumps into bed with you with excitement to talk about stories from the past and granddaddy this and grandma that and all the delicious meals that we miss and shit. Like, just because that changed, you think that I'm a different person now? What? Something like that. I know that our conflict happened out of the blue. It was shocking. And I was aware, but at the same time, I didn't know what the issue was. I learned what the issue was when I got older. And then we started talking again. And I said, Ma, that bullshit that we were going through 4 years ago, what was that? Why were you such a bitch? Okay. And then she was like, well, why were you such a bitch too? And I'm like, what do you mean, why was I such a bitch when I didn't have time to be a bitch if I was in school studying and busting my lady balls trying to maintain my good grades and shit, not smoking, not giving you grandbabies, and being decent and all that? Like, what happened? And then I just remember her saying something like, I just became really sensitive about shit. And I said, you became very sensitive about shit, and I stopped being sensitive about shit. Maybe that's why our worlds were colliding, because I was missing the time when I could talk to my mom about any fucking thing. But then it's like all of a sudden I had to be insecure and careful about how I would talk to you, but then I could talk to anybody else and nobody else would lose their shit on superficial topics. But when I would try to talk to you about the more, deep shit, you would go ape shit. What is this? I was not equipped for that. So anyway, what matters is that we made up, and then occasionally we just had them typical mother daughter bullshit that happens sometimes, but we definitely get along more often than not. And again, it's one of those things that when it happens unexpectedly and it shocks you. But once you figure it out, that's it. And it's so nice to be able to share that now, because had you made that comment maybe like when I was new to making videos like 5 years ago, there is no way that I would have shared as much as I just shared. Like I would have just been like, "Oh yeah, my mom is awesome. Thank you so much for saying that. Yeah, my mom is the best." And like there is no way that I would have attempted to say anything remotely resembling something negative. But you have to say things for the way they are. Like we were struggling. We did. We had bullshit going on. So if you ever find uh one person who you really admire, especially for their character traits, try to figure out where the fuck that person is coming from. What have they gone through in their damn life to put them where they are? Because there's usually something majorly fucked up that happened that shaped them into that. And like I have said before, that's why I value knowing people during their construction time, during their build up time, as opposed to I just met you, now that you're established, but who and what the fuck are you? So much gets lost. And I feel more quality out of those times. The times when you're fixing something, trying to get something figured out, trying to plan for the future, shit like that. I don't like to arrive somewhere where everything is established. No, I like to see the process of what it takes to get there so that I can value it. But sometimes I be hearing, the best example I can provide is the fucking women out here who expect to land these guys who are like six-figure earners and shit. What makes you think you deserve that? Like, you just want to meet a guy who has that shit and you feel entitled to his stuff. Like, no, what did it take for that guy to get there? Okay, like all those sleepless nights. Maybe he used to be a fat fuck at some time because he didn't have time to make it to the gym or to cook and stuff. Like it had to have cost that man something. And you just want to get there and claim it for yourself. Fuck you. So my dream would be to hopefully be with someone who is in that stage, the building stage, so that we can get somewhere together. Because I'm in my building stage too. So maybe I could also hopefully be with someone who also looks at it that way too. Like, oh, I remember how much you worked toward this and now you get to have your harvest. And I want to say the same thing about him. Like, I remember how much this cost you. Your pain, sleepless nights, or like nights when you could sleep but you were not getting enough sleep. That's the kind of stuff I value. But some people here do not understand the journey. That's what I value. I'm into the journey. Like, wow. All that you have to go through for the final product. I'm the kind of person who, when I'm on YouTube, I'm curious about how shit gets made. That's a really good channel. There's something called How Stuff Is Made. I don't know what it is, but that just brings something out of me. Like, wow, somebody had to have thought about this, that, and the other. Structure, organization, dedication, consistency, perseverance. I don't know about you, but to me, that defines character. But some people are out here skipping that. Why? Maybe that's why I think that all of you lack a soul and are zombies and all that. So anyway, hopefully I have illustrated the point. Good to have that homeless plan organized in your mind. Oh, hell yeah. It's possible that it's coming, it's happening, and it's gonna get real. Because, I mean, let's face it. What if something happens to mom? What if she moves? Or what if she moves on to a better world? Or what if something happens to me? It could happen to me too. So that's what I'm saying. Like, at least I can say, should that happen again, I know that I don't have to fear it. And I think that the stories where it gets bad and out of control, I think it's because those people really had really messed up backgrounds, like, say, a home where they did not have any real stability. At least I can say that mom was not the richest person in the world, but when I was a kid, my brother and I were well taken care of. And it's because mom was able to use all of her resources wisely. Let it be them government things that you get help with, our pension money. She never joked with that. She always set it aside for what it was intended for, which was our food and water and shelter and clothes and shit. But usually when your situation gets out of control is because you don't have a good balance of your needs versus wants. That's what I have observed. I'm not saying that's it. Like, there's certainly more to it than that. But in the situations of money, I find that to be the thing. Because sometimes I think, wait, if you're in this situation, how do you have so many, what is it, fancy things surrounding you? You know? So clearly you had it good at some point, but what happened? So yeah, I really think that you can write it out. You just have to be patient. Because if you start focusing on the stuff that you miss, like, say, your bathroom, your room, your bed, your pet, stuff like that, it will break you. But you have to think about the situation that you're facing and why those things are not there. Just because they're not there doesn't mean you'll never get them again. You just have to be patient and ride out the storm, you know? So really, I'm grateful for it because it was a test to see that I'm truly what I say I am, which is not in love with comfort and material things or comfort provided by material things. I can find comfort in whatever I have readily available to me. So maybe that's also why I developed an insane tolerance for uncomfortable situations, such as high temperatures, low temperatures, and all that. It's like, if I survive that fucking shit, I can survive anything. And it's been the case, you know? So that's why I try to reference that to put things in perspective. Like, I have reached absolute bottom, but I was able to lift myself back. Let it be with support, let it be by myself, or whatever it was. I just got to remember that it is possible. But you have to make your moves too, not wait for a miracle to happen. It doesn't work like that. And you have to recognize the good agents that are placed nearby to help you, because we were able to meet people at that one soup kitchen who definitely assisted us really well. And had it not been for that lifesaver, then we probably would have struggled a little bit. We wouldn't have been as comfortable as we were, you know? So yeah, learn to recognize your blessings, I guess, and accept them, because it's very hard for you to not be like, I'm not gonna accept that, like, this is the blessing, but somehow you're rejecting it. What is wrong with you? Don't be that person. Why not just sleep in the storage unit? Because the storage unit will be full with things. Like the one that we had, it was super, 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 super small. I don't remember the size of it with like numbers, but trust me, that storage unit, we couldn't be there. We couldn't have slept there. And it was one of those storage places that had like gates, so you had to be out of there by a certain time. And the way that it was set up, you couldn't really stay there. There really wasn't anywhere to park. Um, I don't remember the name of that storage. It wasn't a U-Haul or anything, but basically, it looked like it was like a bunch of garage door looking things. So basically, if you're going to the storage, you pull up to your spot and then you have to grab your stuff and you just have to get out because otherwise, if there's someone else coming, your car is blocking the way. So that, along with the fact that this was a gated one, what if we have an emergency? What if we have to leave? What if we need food? What if we just need to escape from something? I don't know, like emergencies happen. So if you're stuck behind this gate, if we were to tear it down, we're gonna damage our car, which is like the most important tool that we have right now. And just trust me, it wouldn't have worked out to live in the storage. And the size that we rented, it was the size that like would have been perfect enough for our stuff. And even then we had to pile shit in a way to where we had to use like a step ladder to put stuff, and some stuff we just had to shove there and throw it, and it would land wherever it landed, but it was far from our reach, but at least it made it in the storage. um, the way it was organized was the stuff that we absolutely would not need to touch, it was at the very back. And then the things that would kind of help us get by the day, like maybe some what is it? Snacks and stuff, which we try to keep most of those in the car, but you don't want to have the car being like your food pantry. Um Basically anything that was like, what is it, first aid ish for the day, that's what we kept at the front. Some of it would be like a batch of clothes, clean clothes, and then some tools. I vaguely remember. I know that did we have a bicycle back then? I feel like we did. I feel like we did. That would have been a little closer to the front too, just in case we could forego driving in some situations. But yeah, anything that was super super fragile and like sensitive to the climate, such as at the time we had our computers, um, and what else? Anything valuable like that is a tool, but also sensitive to like climate. We took those with us, and valuables too. But outside of that, everything else, fuck it, stay at the storage. But then not everything was able to fit into the storage. So whatever was light but still relatively useful for the daytime, we brought that with us. So that's why we really could not ever really have my car to where it could be that comfort zone that it could have been if we were able to, like, what is it, modify it like I described, like take the back seats, push them down, and the trunk could be like a bed or something. We could cushion it somehow. We just couldn't do that at the time. And remember that all of this was happening in a rush. I mean, it was like back to back to back to back because we were so desperate looking for jobs. So it's not like we had the time to be complete divas and be like, this is how we're going to organize things. And we just couldn't. Like, I wish I remember how we set up that damn storage unit. But I just know that it was scrambling. But yeah, it just worked out. It's amazing. It just freaking worked out. Hello, Samri. Hello, JP. Parent-child relationships are pretty cyclical. I've never known how to say that. And as you get older, the whole dynamic changes. Thanks for sharing so much about yourself tonight. You are a genuine person. I appreciate that so much. Well, thanks for tuning in to everything that I had to say. And you know what? Thanks for saying it like that, because although it's obvious, it's easy to forget that your parents are seasonal too. Like when you're a kid, you're vulnerable, you have necessities, you need to be taken care of. So the dynamic is going to be the nurturing kind. But then once you start growing, like, I'm not saying that your parents can no longer influence you, nurture you, support you, and shit, but that needs to change. It will need to look different. You cannot be like, what is it? You're not really in the stage where you're like cooing for your stuff. Like a baby, that's your freaking language. But like your parents still look at you, at least mine do. They're like, no matter how old you get, you're still like my little girl, my baby girl, and shit, and all that. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's good to know. Thanks. But it's just awkward because I don't know if I ever got to make this video, but I've always wanted to make a video in which I discuss the things that I think we should actively explore a transition to. The best way I can describe that is life after high school. Some people transition to college, some people transition into a job, some people don't do anything. But you're leaving the security of those high school walls. School. It made so many things accessible. If you needed food, you had the cafeteria, it was right there. If you needed a nurse, there was one in sight. You could go see her right there. But once you exit that setting, everything is up to you. Who is helping you transition into a more independent life where you are responsible for all that shit? So the same could be said about your relationships as you're growing. When do you transition from being a child to being not a child? What is considered appropriate? What is not considered appropriate? And maybe that's why a lot of people end up getting offended. Maybe the people who get offended are people who are simply still trapped in another dimension. Let's say you ever deal with an adult who acts like a goddamn child? Maybe that's it. Maybe this person never got transitioned into this new chapter in life, this new season, where, hey, remember what you are now. You are 40 years old. You should be doing 40-year-old people things, but here you are acting offended at 40. Why? Same thing with 20-something-year-olds. Sure, you are 20-something. You're still young. You got energy. You got flexibility in your body and stuff, but the way that you fool around, joke around, it will have more meaningful consequences than the trivial shit consequences that you experience when you're a kid. So, again, what kind of transition are we experiencing during that time? So, with parental relationships, what does that transition look like? And what are those transitions? Like, is it based on age milestones? Is it based on your status, like whether you're a student or you have your own career, or say, what if you become a parent at 15, like some kids do? What would your relationship with your parents look like if you were a teen parent? Things like that. Where is that transition period? When does it begin? Why does it begin? What determines it? What establishes it? So yeah, you guys, that's my honest opinion on that one. When it comes to like the way that those things are a cycle, that's what comes to mind. I really think that some people sound the way that they sound and we find them frustrating because they didn't have a guidance. I honestly cannot say that I had a very good guidance after high school ended. I'm not mad at anybody. I'm not blaming my mom. I'm not blaming anybody at all. Um, I think I'm just a product of my times. And at that time, it wasn't very helpful for me to be alone with mom because mom was overwhelmed with the bills and, because like life was getting expensive and I'm older, so I demand more. But I'm still like a minor, so I still need her help, but she's not getting all the help that she needs. And here I am needing help too to help me transition into life after high school. So I said, look, mom, I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to skip college. And instead, I'm just going to go straight into finding a job. And on top of that, it's not like I had it figured out. Sure, I like the sciences, but it's not like I dream of being a geologist, for example. So what then? I'm going to be that fucking student who's in college changing majors every 10 minutes. No. Um so yeah, it's you're right. It's a cycle, and my 2 cents there is we need to do better about guiding people. Be like, "Hey, so after middle school, sure, it's high school. That's a transition period. But what does that mean?" Some people never grasp that. So, those transitions that I'm talking about during life, when do they happen? Like, when do you guys think is a transition period? Because I can sum it up by saying, well, you have your period when you're in school, when you're preparing in college, when you have a job, when you become a parent. But some of those things intertwine. Like, say, you may become a parent while you're in college. What kind of transition is taking place there? See what I mean? So, anyway, I thought I would present that. Let's see. Holger has sent $15. Thanks so much. I saw it when it arrived and like the little timer was going off, like up there on my screen. But I was in the middle of something, so that's why I didn't acknowledge it immediately. But thank you. It really means a lot to me. I'm a lot some of that to get something nice from mom because although it was her birthday, we didn't do jack shit. Like, I didn't go anywhere because it's so icy outside. And I was like, Ma, I want to acknowledge your day, but don't mind me. I don't feel very inspired or safe going out there. And she said, hell no, I ain't going anywhere. I'm old now, so I need to be careful and take care of myself. So, anyway, it turned into a massive joke. But I also felt bad that this happened at, I don't want to say her birthday is a bad time, but there's some other stuff going on. And I said, if I'm not in a very celebratory mood, it's because of this thing that's happening. And she understood. Like, we're going through it together. But yeah, every time I see someone helping me like that in any kind of way, it's like, dude, I don't take it for granted. It means so much to me. So thank you. There are videos of people sleeping in storage units. Some have really nice setups. I have no doubt in my mind that there are some people living a great life out there, especially in tiny houses. You guys ever hear of those? I've never been in one, but I have heard of people who do that stuff. I'll take a quick water break. Oh, refreshing. Ooh. Okay. And I always find it crazy how people can have imagination for things like that. I can't say I can do that. But I heard someone at work talking about, you guys know them containers, like shipping containers, those metallic rectangular ones that come in ships and whatever. Well, this guy was talking about how he had seen people modifying those to turn them into homes. And like he was saying something about someone used one of them to outline something, and then put bricks around it, and it looks like a legit home, but it's actually the inside of a shipping container. And I thought, what? So I always like to see that kind of innovation. Like, what do people do? And to hear someone mention something about storage units, it's like, I totally believe that because I have heard of some other things. So if I remember, I'll definitely look into that because that sounds interesting. And the good thing about being on YouTube in 2022 is that there is pretty much a video for everything. I mean, you don't know how to fix your clothes? Look it up. You need ideas on how to clean something, some stain? Look it up. It used to be that you needed to read those things. You could get ideas, but it was mostly either written or maybe word of mouth. But now there's a fucking video for anything. Even how to tie your fucking stupid ass shoes. Like, even I made a video about that. Like, what my technique is for tying my shoes. And food. Like, ideas for cooking. What technique to follow. Because does that ever happen to you guys? Like, someone tells you, you do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and they give you the measurements, but no matter what, you cannot recreate it like that person did. So now that we get to have examples of that visually, it's amazing. So I have no doubt that there's people doing some dope ass stuff out there that we don't get to see, because even if you wanted to find that content, the internet is like so big now. How do you find that stuff, you know? So yeah, I have no doubt that someone out there has a palace out of a storage unit. I think most storage places wouldn't allow you legally anyway to sleep there. What did I do? It would compromise and confuse, otherwise blur differences between hotel, motel, storage. That too, yeah, definitely. It just sounded like something that you're legally not allowed to do. And nobody wants to be responsible. Like, if I were running the storage business, like, I don't want to be responsible over something happening to people behind the gate. Because I feel like at that point, it's my responsibility since it's my property. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, anything can happen. Let's say that you're back there having a party, camping, something. This fire gets out of control. Anything can happen. It's just not. It's crazy. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, you're right. That too, and depending on the business that you're running, don't you get like different laws or something, like held accountable differently or taxed differently? It could be a number of things. Hello, my queen. YouTube did not notify me you're live. You know what? YouTube has been tripping so much lately because there are some things that I get notified for that I don't get notified for, or sorry, that I get notified for that I didn't think I would get notified for, and vice versa. The only notifications I have enabled are my email, but for some reason, it never notifies me of the comments that you guys leave, even though I have those, uh, what is it, enabled, but the only time I see them is when I get on the app. And I'm thinking, bitch, what's the point of me enabling notifications if you're going to notify me about the replies that other motherfuckers leave on comments that I leave on other motherfuckers' channels, but you're not going to tell me about the comments that I get from my squad? What? Fuck you. So so yeah, I can't blame you. Some people do catch me live because they get the notification. Some people just don't get it. It's okay. You made it. And it's not like this is my last stream ever, or like I stream very seldomly, right? So, but yeah, it's good to see you. King. Yep, shipping containers and tiny homes range are the rage, in certain areas they are allowed. I enjoy watching some of the YouTube videos out there. Happy New Year! YouTube is amazing. Yeah, YouTube really is amazing. Like, I remember when I first started using YouTube, it was the year 2007. And I remember that I, I was signing into YouTube because I was hoping I could watch Dragon Ball Z episodes because I would always miss the runs and the reruns and the reruns and the reruns, um, because it always happened when I was in school. So I either had to be in bed early or I would arrive from school late, and then I would miss that same fucking episode every year that it would air. So when I saw this YouTube thing, I said, wait, this is like watching TV from my computer, but it's what we call now on demand. Like, I don't have to wait until 8 o'clock or something. I can play this at any time. Wow! Little did I know that that thing would evolve into something major that I could take with me anywhere, because what I associate with being a computer, them desktop things from hell, now those things have become smaller and smaller and smaller and portable and shit. And not only that, but I always wondered how people made videos. Like, sure, at the time it used to be what, Movie Maker 2.6? But I said, I don't have time for this. How do people make it so pretty? How do people put their own voices on top of this video about Devil May Cry and parodies? And how is this possible? How? And then eventually I started doing it using tools that did not exist back then. And then I thought, damn. It's just crazy. There is something out there for everybody at any given time. You just have to look. And I think my favorite thing about YouTube is musicians. You can take a song that I detest, make a cover, and it's like, oh, when you take the voice away, this is actually a beautiful song. When you do a solo, what is it, piano solo, it's actually a very good song. Or when you give it, I don't know, when you turn a song that doesn't have any drums or guitar or bass on it and you add those things, wow, this song is actually digestible. But also, the way that people can take something, alter it, and make it better than the original. I am such a fan of memes. You guys have no idea. If I had like the organization and the skill for it, I would make a video and kind of go off what Felix likes to do, meme review, and zoom in and all those special effects. But A, my phone has limitations, and B, even if I had a computer to where I would have it as a tool to make official, pretty, good edited videos, I sincerely am so out of touch with like computer software, and I never had the skill anyway. I just cannot imagine a life in which I have enough time to become acquainted with that. Like teaching myself how to edit, how to put sounds, put music on videos outside of my phone, like the basic shit that I provide. Um, I don't even put music on my videos anymore because my phone, I lost all of my music on it. So all the music that I have put in it that was from like YouTube, I lost those. So I know that you can edit that from that YouTube website now, desktop site, but The YouTube Studio app is definitely a far cry from what you can do from the computer. Because I borrowed a computer about a month and a half ago, and I logged into YouTube from desktop, and I thought, what? You can add things to the video after it's been uploaded? Back in my day, you had to have the video completely done, like the way you wanted it, and then publish it. Upload it and then publish it. But now within the website, you can alter it. What? So when I saw that shit, I thought, shit, like if someone could pay me to stay at home and learn the way of YouTube, I would do it. I would fucking do it. Because trust me, I have so many ideas going on in this little brain. But I'm like, let me work with what I have, which is I have a lot to say, and I like that I have a lot to say. I don't need to be that person who's like acting out things, kind of like those overly dramatic YouTube videos, like where, say, you're doing a tour of your house and doing them goofy things that all of them kids do. Like, that's not what I would do. I would like to be able to illustrate my point a little better, especially include pictures. Like, I've been trying to do that a little more often as opposed to trying to use my vocabulary to explain, especially on a topic that my expertise is limited. That is one of my biggest fears. And that's what's been happening lately. Like some of the things that I don't stream, it's because I really need to get my mind together on it. And if I don't get my mind together on it, I can't produce this content. And sometimes I think, well, I don't have that program when I go live. I don't have that little fancy program where people can show you their screen, what shows on their computer screen. I don't know what you call it, but I always wondered, how can this person be streaming and showing what's on their computer screen at the same time? What? So, yeah, I'm just too technologically dumb for that. Maybe if I had a roommate that was like, you guys remember Ollie? Like, he knows about that shit. So, if somehow he could, like, be here with me, like, he would have me set up. But he could be my point person and be like, hey, so will you teach me and show me how to do this and that and the other? But I'm such a slow learner with computer stuff that I will starve before I have time to learn that stuff. So it would be an incredibly slow process for me anyway. But just know that my intention has always been there, but it's genuinely a lack of resource. And one of the resources being the skill. So even if I had like the computer, then what? You know? So whoops, I clicked on something I shouldn't have. But yeah, yeah. YouTube is a Karen. YouTube is a fucking Karen. No lie, I would buy a container home once it has plumbing, running water, and is able to run wires for the internet. Maybe two container homes combined into with one floor. Now that you say that, since containers are metallic, do we still live in a time when reception is affected by metal? You know what I mean? Like sometimes if you're surrounded by like metallic things, like your reception just dies or something because it gets disrupted. Are we past that? Or does our technology still suffer from that? I can't tell. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? But anyway, I was told a long time ago by my phone provider that if I live near something that has a lot of metal, like it disrupts my signal. I don't know. It's been so long, you guys, but I remember hearing something about how our reception eventually is supposed to be coming from space, from like a satellite or something. Where are we on that? I don't know. Technology talk, it's like if you're talking to me about that type of thing, technology, construction, engineering, I, I'm brain dead. So if you guys want to have that discussion, let me know, and maybe I can create an official video for engineering wonders. But just know that I'm going to be the most boring person to have that conversation with. I want to learn, but I don't think I would be edifying myself too much to have like rich conversations with on that topic. I am the most memorable I am the most memeable person. Have you ever thought about editing some of your videos and put it into waterproof and black box time capsule? It would be lit the longer it took it to be found in the future. What? I think I'm delirious because, like, I was all over with your comment. Let me read it again, but a little slowly. Have you ever thought about editing some of your videos and put it into a waterproof and black box time capsule? Okay, that's what you said. Um, of course, I have considered editing my videos. And now that you mentioned waterproof, you just reminded me that I have wanted to make a video so bad about me swimming and diving, which I have a swimming video, but I mean underwater. And when I go to Planet, they have like the Planet TV channel. Um, there's like this recurring clip about the GoPro, and there's one about someone surfing, someone skydiving, someone skating, and I think that stuff is so amazing. But what the fuck does that GoPro look like? And I definitely don't want to be that fucking person with a selfie stick. I've never used a selfie stick. All I need is a human being to hang out with me, not get paid, and film me, because I'm the star of the show. Not get paid. That was really cold blooded. Um, but the only time I have had a filming buddy was my mom when she helped me shoot that one video like 4 years ago about how models look like to me. That was such a fun video to make, but my editing was shit. And it also doesn't help that I did that on my old phone. So conceptually, I liked my idea, but I wasn't satisfied with the final product. Maybe I'll reshoot it and be like, hey guys, this is actually what I meant to show you. Now that my phone has a little better memory, I can implement some things a little better. But I want to say that at the time was my proudest video because it felt like I actually put some production effort to it. Um, so, nah, don't complicate my life, okay? This is what you guys get. It's okay. I don't have to be good at everything. So for this one, I'll take the underperformer report. I'm so used to like being an overachiever at everything. I gotta be bad at something. Let me be bad at this, okay? You're still here, and you'll continue to be, right? But yeah, you randomly reminded me of that. So, but to answer your question, no, I wouldn't edit them. It would be lit the longer it took to be found in the future. You guys ever hear stories of people who put notes on like bottles and they throw them into the ocean to see when and where they are found? And some bottles get discovered like 70 years later or so. I think that's cool. Sometimes I feel like that's what the internet is like. It's like someone made a video 12 years ago on something that interests me. And I know that the video exists because I remember what I was looking for 12 years ago and someone was making this type of content. But where are you now? So I'm able to trace back to those videos if I remember the exact name of that video. But there are some channels that are gone permanently, so some of that content is gone too. But you know what I miss, you guys? What I miss is way back in the day. Maybe all of these videos got taken down, but back in the day, you used to have these shitty videos with music. And they would be colored backgrounds, and the song lyrics would be written like the text, it would be written in like really basic font styles, but the background could be pink, it could be blue and stuff, but people would put the lyrics, and that was the way that you could find music online. You could find songs that way. And there were songs that I could only find there that I couldn't find in I forgot the name of that thing that I came so close to asking mom to let me subscribe to. I don't think it was Pandora. I don't think Pandora existed at the time. But anyway, there was this music service that I guess you could call it that streaming service of like mid 2000s. Um, and I think it would have been like 10, $20 per month or something. And that's where I was having luck finding most of the music that I liked. But sometimes there were songs that you could only find online because they were video game music or music from TV shows, but not soundtracks. It was more like background music from TV shows. And then I thought, man, what happened to all those channels? Like the retro days of YouTube will have such a special place in my heart. Kids these days will never know. But now I see that YouTube has become more like it favors big companies now more, and it pisses me off so much because let's say that I'm looking for content about aviation. It will give me like National Geographic shit. No, I want to meet actual legitimate airline pilots. So, of course, it gives me a few choices of the bigger channels, but it was so hard to find those folks. So now that I have found some of those folks because they have gotten big, now YouTube understands that that's an interest that I have, and now that's all that it will suggest to me. And even if I am looking for content about, say, cats, it will still try to continue to suggest to me stuff about aviation. Motherfucker, my aviation interest is over. I'm looking up cats. Give me cats. You know? So that in the old days of YouTube, I feel like I didn't have that problem. It used to be a little better at giving me what I was actually looking for because now the algorithm is trying to get to know me, to personalize my experience. But what you need to understand is that I am too random to be predictable by some fucking machine. Today, I'm in the mood to talk about what I'm talking about now. Tomorrow, I ain't gonna be thinking about this shit. I'm ready to move on to my next topic, you know? So, that is the only part of YouTube that annoys me a little and makes me miss the old times a little more. And I remember typing Metal Gear parody back in those days, like 2008, and I could find exactly what I was looking for. And now the platform is polluted with so much bullshit, and it always tries to give me the results of the bigger channel. Fuck the bigger channel. Like, give the smaller channels a chance because sometimes the content from the lesser known channels is way better than what those clowns are putting out. You know? So yeah, that's where I'm at. Zam, you have an amazing talent that I see and hear. I am sure others do so too. You just need to level up. Sorry for poor choice of words. Don't ever feel bad about how you tell me something. I don't get offended. I know what you're saying because I have heard that from pretty much everybody whom I have trusted and I have grown close with, they have said that. They're like, I just feel so frustrated, I guess, that you have so much talent and potential and abilities and talent, but you're not doing anything. You're not leveling up, or like you're not pushing yourself more. Why? I don't know. I guess I'm just not inspired. But whatever little bit I have going on, let me go at my own pace, you know? Like, I probably have said this before, but I'm surprised that I have held on to, say, making videos for as long as I have. Because I'm usually the kind of person who I get bored quickly. So for me to still be intrigued by this as I was all them years ago, but take away my shyness, which nowadays I definitely am not as shy as I used to be back then, which the channel helped me grow from that. Leave it at that. You know, why would I want to complicate my life trying to level up when I don't feel like that's the next step for me? You know what I mean? Like, what you said is not wrong, not at all. I'm just letting you know, if you ever wonder what makes me like stay static, I guess, it's because of that. You have to convince me that changing like that is really right for me. Just like I was discussing earlier about why I haven't taken management positions. I have gone out for them, but I was rejected when I wanted it and I felt like it. And during that time, I moved on to something else, to where now I don't have any interest in that. So now you have to convince me to go back to that mindset. So yeah, that's where I'm at, kind of. Hopefully that made sense. Um, it depends. If you get a GoPro to go in the water, the helmet one is point of view, and the chest one is just for general logs. I have seen the helmet one. The guy who's doing the parasailing or whatever that's called, on the water. I kept wondering how the fuck he has a camera looking at him. He's not using the so-called selfie stick because it's not shaking. And then the person who was like gliding to, um is he parachuting or gliding? Anyway, he's doing something. That's the perspective. It's definitely from the helmet. But I think that your face looks a little too silly using the helmet one. I want to put a GoPro on Dusty so bad. Because you guys need to see the world from his perspective. See what I see him do. um, yeah, that would be cool. Keep up the great content, and I hope we see more videos and lives in the future. Really happy that you're posting more. Trust me, I think about you guys every single day. I think about the channel every single freaking day. But some days it's just really hard for me to get to it. I wish that I could go back to the days when I would just sit down, record something, and upload it immediately. But I have really become fond of being able to clean up my video before I post it, like edit it, get rid of my stutterings and my and like my occasional. I have to take a second because I'm kind of like burping to myself. uh, Things like that, and my sniffles. I really hate when I sniffle during a fucking video. So discovering editing and having memory on my phone has spoiled me a little too much. And sometimes I stress myself out with that, as opposed to just rolling with it. But occasionally I do get that one video when I can add things to it, like say a picture or add sounds, zoom into something, anything like that. So I'm just really happy that I'm creating something. And although I don't get to do it as often as I like to and enjoy to and wish I could, now when I do get around to it, it feels special because I'm able to feel the same way that I have always felt about it. Like, I love this just like I loved it from the first day that I did it. And like I have said before, this is one of those few things in life that I have consistently stayed like feeling this way about. My car would be the other thing. I still feel and have the same mentality that I did when I sat to drive it for the first time. Responsibility and absolute thrill. And I thought, there is no way I can imagine that anything is going to excite me like this for me to hold on to it. But yeah, I mean, it's been like what, 6 years now? So I wouldn't want to turn this into something that resembles a job to where I stop enjoying it. Maybe some of the big YouTubers might be able to say that. Maybe maybe some of them have experienced this. Like the moment they turn their hobby into a business, it killed some of the thrill for them. Or when someone else bought them out. I cannot believe that none of them have gone through something like that. But I don't look them up like that to know if this is true or not. But that would be one of my concerns. Like, I don't want for something that I enjoy, which is this format, change it to where it feels completely unlike myself, and then I get lost in the process. And then I stop enjoying it, and then I don't make anything anymore. So that's why I always tell all of those clowns who arrive at my comments saying, "You'll never be a big YouTuber because you don't edit, you don't put effort into your production and shit." And I'm like, motherfucker, clearly you just got here 5 minutes ago. I know that. Do you think I don't know about what it's like to establish like a business? What makes people consume? What makes people stay intrigued? Clickbait. I know about that shit. I just don't want to do it. I like to be honest and genuine. But what you're looking for is something that this channel will not give you. So what you do is you stay quiet and go somewhere else where you get that. I find that weird that you're demanding things from me. No. What you do is you consume the stuff that I put out because you want it and you're interested in it. Maybe that's the so called depression and anxiety that some people who sell themselves experience, that I have always said I will never understand what that feels like. Like, I remember one time, this was trending on Twitter. I don't remember who the creator was, but someone was coming out talking about their anxiety about managing what people are saying and people are asking from them, and they just feel enslaved to this thing because I have to put out content and I'm feeling like my creativity is running dry, and what is it, the daily grind is killing me. And I'm like, you turned your hobby into a living, and I think that you needed to understand that if you value this so much, it's going to cost you something. So do not let it cost you your passion. Because if you lose that, then you're doing it wrong. For some people, it does work to turn it into a big business, but this is not for everybody. And if you're not good at handling stress, anxiety, and pressure, this is not the right thing for you. So that's why I always said one of the things that I fear the most is becoming a big YouTuber, becoming an influencer, becoming a big creator. That is so much responsibility, so much power, and so much attention. And attention is one of those things that I like to not bring to myself. So if I keep the 5 or 6 or 7 of you for the rest of my life, I am so more than happy, because the greatest advantage that I'll have is that I get to actually connect with you guys. Whereas if I have 500 people or 1,000 or 10,000 all posting comments and this fucking thing is scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, so much is going to get lost. it goes back to what I was saying about how the only way for me to have a good time in social settings is for me to be on a one-on-one with someone. The only reason I can handle these streams is because you guys are chill. Like, you interject with legitimate comments that will deepen the conversation, or you're asking me something to engage with me differently. That's what those motherfuckers don't understand. Like, the people who are like, you'll never get big. And, like, do you not understand? This is a dream for me. Like, this brings quality to my life. Whereas, if it were a really busy channel, this conversation probably wouldn't be possible. Do you get that? And, like, the 5, 6, 7 of you who are present, you guys get that. You guys enjoy that. You guys get to benefit from that. Somehow, you guys value what I have to say and enjoy what I say, and you stick there and you actively listen for however many hours I'm here. Other people cannot say that. That is a privilege that I experience. But maybe I can see it that way because that's the kind of sentimental person that I am. I like quality over quantity, in this case, quantity being the number of souls participating on my stream. This is a dream for me. I remember doing streams, some nights being by myself, some nights I would have just one person, other nights two people. I think the most people I've ever had in my stream at one point was 22 people. It didn't get too crazy, it didn't get out of control, but I was noticing that at some point my engagement, I was still there, but it was becoming a little tricky because I was still trying to respond to someone, but then someone else was like keeping the ball rolling or shifting it to something else. And I said, this is what I was afraid of about big groups. So, so yeah, those clowns are never going to like hurt me emotionally or whatever. Because as I mentioned earlier to my friend over here, I will never deviate from my values. I will never derail from my origin. So, so yeah, that's where that comes from. So if you guys ever get bored of the type of content you get from me, good to know you. I will move on to the next person who finds what I have to say, the way that I have to present it, useful. So that shit doesn't faze me. We live in an era where I feel like most people are trying to control somebody or have influence over someone. You know what's the best way to influence someone? Being fucking honest with them and have good intentions. So this is not hard, you guys. It really isn't. I cannot swim, but I can doggy paddle like a boss. Also, I have an irrational fear of sharks and giant lizards like Godzilla, so you won't see me in wild water like that. Interesting that you mentioned sharks because earlier, like on the first few minutes of my stream, I was saying that one of the things that triggers me is the fucking articles, tweets, news that say something happened in this beach which is infested with sharks, or at this snake infested or alligator infested swamp. What do you mean infested, motherfucker? This is where those creatures live. It's like saying the planet is infested with humans. Like, no, they're not an infestation. You're the infestation because you're the one who's trying to invade their habitat. So if they want to munch on you, fuck yeah, they should. And they should spit out the bones. you know? But I hate that. Like, we express ourselves like we are entitled to everything. I know that's not what you're talking about, but just to let you know that that is a comment that I made earlier. My swimming in a controlled setting is okay. I'm definitely not the fittest. Like, I get tired. I don't want to say super quickly since I exercise. I have helped myself with my lung capacity and things like that. But I'm not a very good diver. and I cannot hold my breath underwater for very long while swimming. So yeah, like if it's an Olympic pool, sure, I can be there. But if I were out in the ocean, my performance would be affected severely. But if you give me the fins for my feet, I'm a siren. I am a fucking siren. Because even when I wasn't a good swimmer at the time that I had fins, I could fool you and make myself look legit. So now that I have gotten bigger, stronger, and fitter from working out, which back then this happened when I was not working out, I can only imagine that I have become better. And that stuff would be extra suitable for me now. So yeah, maybe one day I'll be able to give you guys some content of that sort. But I want to say another one of my proudest videos was that basketball video that I was able to shoot. What I did was I took my phone and I had my jacket like rolled up in a way to where I was able to have the phone pointing in my direction and then just click, hit the record button, and then whatever it picked up, that's what made it to the video. But but yeah, I wish I could do more, but I can only do so much for now. I have to sign out. Thanks for another great live stream. Take care. I am about to sign off too. So take care. I've only made one video for my channel. Not sure if I will make more. I really believe that making videos, it's something that everybody could benefit from. In the same manner that I am a believer that everybody could benefit from keeping a journal, don't be pressured by following a format. Like some people, I have had two people ask me, do you think I should keep a journal? What are the benefits of having a journal? Why do you journal? And I say, what makes journaling enjoyable for me is that it's a fucking scrapbook for myself. I can put pictures on it. I can leave blank pages. I can use different color pens. This is not getting turned in to a teacher for a grade. I feel like that's the pressure that school puts on you. But for me, the magic of journaling is seeing my handwriting. I enjoy the act of writing and using pages, using pens. I enjoy that. It's therapeutical for me. It's artistic. And it's also a form of creating something. But videos work so much better for me now because not only can I share my thoughts with people who are going to interact with them, but it helps me cope with some shit that I'm dealing with that journaling no longer was doing for me. And the best part is that I get to record myself exactly how I sound, as opposed to when I read my journal, only I know what I sound like. No amount of exclamation marks or commas or parentheses can illustrate my point and my voice quite like listening to it straight from me. When I discovered that in the form of making videos, that's when I said I know I will never go back to journaling full time like I used to. So videos, I look at them as you can make a video about anything, which is true, you can. So it's so versatile. I mean, look at the shit that I make. It's pretty generic, right? But you can choose what to do with it. Do you want to teach someone a skill? Do you want to share a sound? Share a picture? Share, what is it? You can do so much with it. It's just unbelievable. So if you've only made one video in your life, if you discover that that's just not it for you, then cool. At least you can say, I tried it, it didn't captivate me, I'm gonna let other people do it. But I firmly believe that there is a video style for someone, for everyone out there at any time. So my format personally, when I started thinking about making these videos, I didn't think I would show my face. I always thought, you know, for the sake of safety and anonymity and shit, I'm not going to show my face. But then I said, what do I have to hide? I'm proud of who I am and what I am. So I'm not going to hide. Fuck it. But I always thought that I would, you guys remember some nights when I would stream and the light would be off? That would be one of those nights where I'm like, I'm craving not seeing myself. I'm craving being invisible for a second and see how I perform under those circumstances. But now it's like I cannot imagine a life in which I do a video format where I'm not the subject anymore. Like, sure, I can share with Dusty, I can make food the subject or something. And this is not about me being a goddamn narcissist. Because do you guys think I show narcissistic behavior? Whatever. If you think so, please let me know. But some people get criticized a lot because of that. They're like, where is this narcissism coming from? Like, you're so in love with yourself. And I'm like, I started this channel because I hated myself. You know? Like, I didn't come here to be celebrated. I came here because I was no longer writing, but I needed an outlet. And also, I wanted to be comfortable about seeing myself and listening to myself because my self esteem was so fucking low. So, like, if you're not going to celebrate with me, leave me alone in my journey, you know? So, everyone out there, you never know what you're putting out and how it's going to help someone. You have the potential of helping and influencing so many people. And that's why every time I make a video, I try to present my point as responsibly as possible. But I also do so in a way where only the people who have kept up with me for the entire time can benefit from it. Because some of those random, like, 2-minute videos that I post, where it's pretty much a continuation of something I said yesterday, if you haven't been around for that, you wouldn't know. You see that and you're like, oh, I'm subscribed to this girl. Why? Unsubscribe. Do it. It doesn't hurt my feelings. But it's connected to what I was saying earlier about my job. Yes, I do get to experience benefits because I have held on to my job for a long time. So some of you guys may get to experience benefits because you have held on to being present in my channel for so long. So maybe that's why with some of you, hell yeah, I'm going to like email you outside of the channel. And I am going to post longer comments for some of you and be extra detailed and share more. You earned that shit. You know, like, that's what you do when you invest. You earn things. But some people don't understand that because they don't value the journey. You know? So, I don't know how you guys look at that, but me personally, if someone were to ask me, do you think I should start a channel? Hell yeah. Start a channel, start a journal, try that new recipe idea that you have in your mind. It may be a disaster, but if it's a disaster, at least you know not to fucking mix those things together again. But just try things, do things. I know so many people who I look at and I think that they're dead alive. Maybe I've said this before, but there's people who live such boring lives because, not because they are boring as people, but because they stopped trying things. They stopped growing. Life is so short and there's so much to do, but we are limiting ourselves so much. Let it be over insecurities, exhaustion, or social constructs, whatever the fuck it is, let it go. Start living your life. Be more adventurous, you know? When I type things in Google, I be adding extra stuff at the end. You nailed it. I like you as a channel even more. Stance quality. You bring out originality, not being influenced by the wind. Thanks a lot. Well, I thank you guys a lot because not that I don't want to sound ungrateful, but not like I needed that for like validation, because as I have said before, I will continue to like live by my standards and stuff. But I'm just happy that I have found like five of you who get it, who understand it, who value that. Because me personally, in my personal life, there's people who I have been noticing just becoming something that they are not. And then when they crash, they act shocked. And I'm thinking, what made you think that was a good idea? That's not what I know you to be. That's not what I know you to value. So why did you allow yourself to be influenced into this as opposed to something that was more suitable for you? And that is the part where, if you guys have been attentive for a long time and remember me very well, you guys know how I say I struggle with empathy. The reason I say that is because there's so much stuff that I see as predictable, but some people don't see it. And I wonder how it is that you don't see it. But now I understand that in the same manner that I wasn't seeing certain things about myself until I started seeing myself through my, say, my manager's eyes. I'm like, oh, now I'm going to be a little more, like, more merciful toward those people, because I know what it's like now. But when people derail too much from who they actually are originally, who I know them to be, that's when I get worried. Because I do believe in you trying new things, but there's a lot of stuff that I haven't gotten to share with you guys about things that I have learned, discovered, checked out. But have you guys noticed any differences in me? No. The only things you have seen is my energy is more positive, I guess. Whereas before I got a little dark, a little depressed because I was sad and stuff. And you see me more confident and stuff. That's normal. But you know that I'm still the same person at my core. Like, some people, it's like if they could change even their date of birth, they probably would. That's not the person I am. Like, I'll always be proud about everything. But there's some stuff that is nice for me to keep an element of mystery about. So I'm never going to allow someone to like influence me into revealing, I guess, something about myself that I don't want to, you know? So that is going to be a privilege that you have to earn, pretty much. And even with the people who I'm tight with, who I know in person, there is a lot I don't tell those clowns. So just know that this element of mystery is like applicable for a lot of things. So, of course, there are some things that I would like to share with you guys that I just don't do. Because, like I've said before, it, some things I feel like only some people should have the privilege for that stuff. But at least I can tell you guys right now that most things I have shared with you than not. And whatever I have not shared is because it may involve someone else, and I don't feel like I have their consent to discuss that here because I respect them. But if I could, I would bring those stories as well with detail. But what I do instead is I try to take something that wouldn't identify them and be like, I'm going to take the element of your story, show it to the channel, but nobody will ever know it's about you. And if you disagree, let me know, and it never sees the light of day. But I like to think that I have enough common sense to be able to make that call, you know? So yeah, that's what that is. Yeah, I am glad I have been here for a while because I love the inside jokes. That too, there's some stuff that only you guys who have been present for all this shit would know. especially the Hamry stuff with Jimmy that one night. Like I I feel bad that he has told me like 5 times and I have forgotten again how that shit happened. How I called myself Hamry or whatever. But I think that's funny, and it's something that, unless any of you guys currently present remember, only he would remember. Nobody else in my life can say that they know that reference. My mom doesn't know, my brother doesn't know, none of my friends know. So, so yeah, like this is an extension of who I am and what I am. Like I never look at you guys and the channel, the people in the channel, they're trivial. That like no, you guys have helped me. You guys have given me advice and company when I needed it the most. Some of you have even given me some money. Like that at some point helped me somewhere. It helped improve my life. So hell yeah, I'm going to try to be here for you in the manner that you like appreciate me and value me and shit. So no, I would not betray the very thing that has kept you here and like inspired you to be here. You know? So hell no. Nah, don't worry. You guys can count on as long as I'm physically capable and I guess mentally capable of doing this, like say I don't forget my password or something, you guys will see this forever. I have to log out and go to bed. Sweet dreams, Zam. Sweet dreams. I'm about to sign out too, I'm afraid. All right, well, you guys, thank you so much for yet another fantastic, wonderful, enlightening, entertaining stream. Um, I wish I could tell you when I will do this again, but I will definitely try to get at least one stream in every month at the very, very least. But little by little, I'm going to try to incorporate them just like I used to. It's just my biggest problem is that since my time is a little limited these days, I don't like to half-ass my way through streams. So I'm always afraid that I'll start one and then within 10 or 15 minutes, I'm gonna have to go. Or the conversation is going to get so fucking good that I have to stay here for many hours and say it's going to cost me something that I cannot afford to lose. Like, say, sleep. The only reason this is happening is because I don't have to work today since it's past midnight. But yeah, just know that I'm always thinking about the channel. I'm always thinking about you guys. And that's why sometimes if it's a 45-second video that you get something. But just know that I ain't going anywhere. Like, it can take me 5 days, but I'm coming back. So yeah, I thank you guys so much. JP says thanks a lot. No, thank you a lot. And you only. All right, you guys. I really should consider leaving now. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you soon.